Have you ever considered the ocean? Not just the surface, where storms rage and waves crash against one another, driven by the winds of expectation, career, relationships, and the relentless noise of the world. We have all known this surface. We have all felt the exhaustion of treading water, trying to keep our heads above the chaos. But what if the storm is not the ocean itself? What if the storm is merely its most visible, most turbulent expression? Deep beneath the tumult, there exists a profound stillness, a silent, pressure-filled calm where no storm can reach. The water is clear, the light is different, and the only sound is the sound of being. The real storm, the one that tires your soul, is not in the world. It is in the choice you have been making, perhaps unconsciously, to live only on that chaotic surface. This is the quiet desperation of our time, to feel like an actor playing a role you never auditioned for, reciting lines from a script you do not understand. There is a deep weariness that comes from this performance, a sense of being a ghost in the machine of your own life. And somewhere, in the quiet moments between the scenes, a whisper rises. A powerful, undeniable urge to simply stop, to let the waves wash over you. This urge is not weakness. It is not a cry of surrender. It is the first summons from your soul, a call to come home. It is an invitation to dive. And so, I invite you now to step into a different space, not a location on a map, but a sanctuary that has always existed within you, waiting behind the noise. Consider this time we share not as a lecture or a series of instructions to be memorized. See it instead as a quiet conversation with the part of yourself you have missed the most. Our journey together is not about adding more to your life. It is not about becoming better, or stronger, or more enlightened. It is about the sacred and powerful act of letting go. It is about unburdening the spirit and remembering the profound peace that is your natural state. It is a journey to the calm, silent depths, where the universe waits to find its balance, simply because you have finally chosen to be still. Our journey begins not with a great action, but with a great stillness. We begin with silence, but this word, silence, is one of the most misunderstood concepts in our modern vocabulary. We say we seek it, we crave it, we build retreats and sanctuaries in its name. Yet, we are terrified of it. We have become a civilization that runs from silence, that fills every available space with sound, with information, with distraction. The hum of the refrigerator, the podcast in our ears, the endless scroll of voices on a screen, the chatter in a room that says nothing of importance. This is not merely entertainment, it is an anesthetic. It is a carefully constructed wall of noise to keep something at bay. And what we are keeping at bay is ourselves. We fear that if the noise stops, if the distractions fall away, we will be left alone in a vast, empty room with the one person we have been avoiding our entire lives. The true fear of silence is the fear of what we will hear in its absence. It is the fear of the echo. Think of it as entering a vast, ancient cave for the first time. Your initial instinct is to shout, to make a noise, to fill the intimidating darkness with the sound of your own presence. But if you were to stand still, to let your eyes adjust, you would begin to perceive the cave not as an emptiness, but as a presence in itself. You would hear the slow, methodical drip of water that has been shaping stone for millennia. You would feel the cool, still air that holds the memory of ages. Silence is this cave. We have been standing at its mouth, shouting our anxieties into it, and then running from the sound of their echo. The invitation now is to take a breath and step inside. What is the first thing you notice when the external noise is removed? It is not peace. It is rarely, if ever, peace. The first thing you notice is the internal noise. The mind, suddenly deprived of its usual distractions, goes into a panic. It begins to chatter, to spin, to worry, to plan, to regret. It throws images and fears and to-do lists at you with a frantic intensity. This is the ego's defense mechanism. It knows that its very existence is predicated on noise, on problems to solve, on an identity to defend. Silence is a threat to its dominion. It is in the silence that the carefully constructed persona begins to crumble. The successful professional, the good parent, the spiritual seeker. These are labels, costumes worn by the ego. And in the silence, you begin to feel the uncomfortable gap between the costume and the skin beneath. This is the first echo you hear, the echo of your own inauthenticity. It is a deeply uncomfortable feeling, and it is why most people turn the television back on within minutes. But if you can stay, if you can simply sit with that discomfort, without judgment, a second layer reveals itself. Beneath the frantic chatter of the mind, deeper echoes begin to surface. The echo of unresolved grief, the sudden, sharp pang of a loss you thought you had processed years ago. The echo of old anger, a resentment towards someone that you have carried in the cells of your body like a low-grade poison. The echo of your unfulfilled dreams, the quiet sadness for the paths not taken. The silence does not create these things. It simply allows what is already there to be heard. It is a diagnostic tool of the soul. It is showing you with perfect clarity where your energy is trapped, where your healing is needed. We spend so much of our lives trying to manage the symptoms of this trapped energy, the anxiety, the depression, the chronic fatigue. We medicate it, we talk about it, we distract ourselves from it. But silence offers the only true cure, to go to the source, to sit with the original wound, in the stillness, and allow its echo to finally be heard. Herein lies the great misunderstanding. We believe that silence is empty, a vacuum. It is not. Silence is a mirror. It is a perfect, flawless mirror that reflects back to you the exact state of your inner world. If your inner world is chaotic, the silence will feel chaotic. If your inner world is filled with fear, the silence will feel terrifying. If your inner world is at peace, the silence will be the deepest peace you have ever known. The silence itself is neutral. It is utterly and completely without judgment. It does not tell you that your anxiety is wrong or that your sadness is a problem. It simply holds up the mirror and says, This is what is present within you right now. The transformative power lies in your ability to stop fighting the reflection, to stop trying to shatter the mirror because you do not like the image it shows. The practice is to simply look, to observe, to witness the parade of thoughts and feelings as they arise and fall. Like clouds passing in the sky, you are not the clouds. You are the vast, open sky in which they appear. This realization, this subtle shift in identification, is the beginning of all freedom. When a thought of worry appears in the silence, you do not have to become the worrier. You can observe the thought. You can say, there is worry. When a wave of sadness washes over you, you do not have to drown in it. You can feel the sensation of sadness in your body and observe, this is the feeling of sadness passing through me. In this act of witnessing, you create space, and in that space, the old energies begin to lose their power. The echoes become fainter. So how do we begin this formidable practice? Not with grand ambition, not by booking a 10-day silent retreat. We begin with an act of humble courage. We begin with 5 minutes. Find a time, a place where you are unlikely to be disturbed. It does not have to be a perfect sanctuary. A parked car, a quiet room before the rest of the house wakes up, even a bathroom stall. The location is not as important as the intention. Set a timer for 5 minutes and simply sit. You do not need a special posture. You do not need to chant a mantra. Your only task is to close your eyes and listen to the silence. And when the mind begins its frantic chatter, as it inevitably will, do not fight it. Do not scold yourself for not being able to clear your mind. That is a myth that has caused more people to abandon meditation than any other. Your mind's job is to think. Let it do its job. Your job, for these 5 minutes, is to be the listener. Listen to the thoughts as if they were distant traffic. You acknowledge they are there, but you do not have to get in the car and drive away with them. Listen to the sounds in the room, the hums and creaks. Listen to the feeling of your own body, the weight of it on the chair, the sensation of air on your skin. And listen for the space between all of these things. The silence is not somewhere else. It is right here, underneath the noise, holding the noise. In these 5 minutes, you might feel bored. You might feel agitated. You might feel sleepy. You might feel nothing at all. It does not matter. The victory is not in what you feel. The victory is in the act of showing up. You are training your nervous system, moment by moment, that silence is not a threat. You are teaching your soul that you are willing to listen. You are stepping into the cave, just for a moment, and allowing your eyes to begin to adjust to the dark. And if you continue this practice, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to find the crystals of wisdom in the cave. Amidst the echoes of pain and fear, you will experience a moment of pure, unadulterated peace. It may last only a second, a single breath, but it will be real. You will receive a sudden insight into a problem you have been wrestling with, an answer that does not come from logic, but from a deeper knowing. You will feel a wave of compassion for yourself, for your own struggles. These are the gifts of silence. They cannot be forced. They can only be received when you have created the space for them to land. As we become more comfortable in this stillness, we start to notice that some echoes are more persistent than others. They are not random thoughts or fleeting feelings. They are stories. They are patterns. They are narratives that have been playing on a loop for our entire lives, shaping our decisions, our relationships, and our perception of reality. These are the echoes of the past. And it is in recognizing the power of these echoes that we discover the next step in our journey inward, into the shadow of yesterday. As we sit in the resonating chamber of silence, we begin to notice the quality of the echoes. Some are fleeting, like distant bird song, but others are persistent, familiar, like a song played on repeat for so many years that we have forgotten it is even playing. These are the echoes of yesterday. They form a shadow that walks with us, so closely that we believe it is part of our own form. This is the shadow of yesterday, and it is the architect of the life you believe you are living. It is a ghost in the machine, a silent director who uses the ink of your past experiences to write the script for your present moment. We think we are moving forward, navigating the river of life, but we feel a constant, inexplicable drag. We are like a boat with its sails full, catching the winds of new possibility, yet we remain stuck, turning in circles. We have never thought to look over the side, to see the heavy, rusted chain that descends into the murky depths, fastening us to a massive anchor lodged firmly in the riverbed of the past. The architecture of this shadow is both simple and profoundly complex. It is built from moments. A careless word from a parent becomes a foundational belief. I am not good enough. A childhood failure on a sports field becomes an inner commandment. Don't take risks. You will only humiliate yourself. A first painful heartbreak solidifies into a rigid law. To love is to lose, so never give your whole heart. These moments, and thousands like them, are the bricks. The mortar that holds them together is the meaning we assign to them. We took an event, an external circumstance, and we internalized it as a truth about ourselves. This is the critical juncture. The event itself was neutral. It was simply what happened, but our interpretation of it, our emotional reaction to it, created a powerful energetic charge. This charge did not simply dissipate. It became a permanent part of our energetic field, a lens through which we now view the entire world. And so, we walk through life, believing we are making conscious choices, when in reality we are simply playing out the programming of these past conclusions. We are drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable, not through bad luck, but because it confirms our childhood belief that we will always be abandoned. We sabotage a promotion at work, not because we are incapable, but because the shadow whispers that we are not worthy of success. We keep people at a distance, not because we enjoy solitude, but because the ghost of a past betrayal patrols the perimeter of our heart. This is the source of life's most profound frustrations. It is the agony of the conscious mind, which yearns for growth, for love, for peace, being constantly overruled by the subconscious programming of the shadow. You set the intention to be different, to choose differently. Yet you find yourself standing in the rubble of the same collapsed relationship, the same failed project, the same internal despair, wondering, how did I get here again? You are not here again. The truth is, you never left. You have simply been redecorating the same room, year after year, unaware that the blueprints were drawn up long ago. This is the great internal conflict, the battle between the will for a new future and the invisible gravity of the past. It is a tiring, soul-crushing war because you are fighting an enemy you cannot see. You are wrestling with a ghost. You blame yourself. You label yourself as weak-willed or undisciplined, but you are not seeing the whole picture. You are a conscious captain on the bridge of your ship, trying to steer toward a sunlit shore, while a mutinous, invisible crew below deck is steering according to an old, tattered map that leads only to familiar shipwrecks. The existence of this shadow is not a sign of your brokenness. It is a testament to your resilience. The patterns were once survival mechanisms. The belief, I cannot trust anyone, may have protected a vulnerable child from further harm. The habit of being invisible may have been a strategy to avoid a critical parent. The shadow was once a guardian, but the child has grown up, the danger has passed, and the guardian has not realized that its protective strategies are now the very walls of a prison. The moment of liberation does not come from fighting the shadow harder. It does not come from analyzing it into oblivion or trying to destroy it. Liberation comes from a single, profound shift in identity. It is the realization of this truth. You are not your story. You are not the events that happened to you. You are not the pain you felt or the mistakes you made. These things are part of your story, but they are not you. You are the consciousness that is aware of the story. You are the sky, and the story is the weather. The weather changes, there are storms. There is sun, there are clouds, but the sky remains the sky, vast, open, and untouched. To believe you are the storm is the source of all suffering. To know you are the sky is the beginning of all peace. The past only has power over you in one place, and one place alone, in your mind, in this present moment. It is not an active force reaching out from yesterday to control you. It is a collection of memories and beliefs that you choose to re-energize, to reanimate with the power of your attention now. Every time you ruminate on an old wound, you are taking the precious energy of the present and using it to water the weeds of the past. You are keeping the anchor tethered to your ship. The story feels so real because you have told it to yourself 1,000 times. Your mind has carved deep neurological pathways, making that story the default road for your thoughts to travel. The invitation now is not to erase the road, but to simply choose to walk a different path. How do we do this in a practical sense, when a memory rises with such force that it floods our entire being? We perform an act of sacred alchemy. We practice cutting the cord. The next time a painful memory or a limiting belief from the past arises, do not push it away. Do not resist it. That only gives it more strength. Instead, allow it to be there for a moment. Close your eyes. Acknowledge it. See it in your mind's eye. Then, visualize a cord, a rope of energy, extending from your body, from your solar plexus, and connecting you to that memory, to that old story. See the color of it. Feel the texture of it. Notice how it drains your energy, pulling your vitality back into that moment from the past. Acknowledge that this cord has served its purpose. Thank it for the protection it once offered. And then, in your mind, create a tool. It could be a pair of golden scissors, a brilliant sword of light, a gentle laser. The tool doesn't matter, the intention does. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale with a clear and conscious decision, cut the cord. See it sever. Watch as the end attached to you retracts back into your body, sealing with light. Watch as the memory, now untethered from your life force, begins to float away, to lose its color and its charge. It becomes just a piece of information, a fact, but no longer an active drain on your soul. You may have to do this many times. The cords of the past are often thick and layered. But every time you do it, you are making a powerful declaration to the universe and to yourself. You are saying, I am no longer available for this story. I am the author of this moment. My past does not define me. My presence does. This is not about forgetting. It is about freeing. You are not erasing history. You are liberating your future from it. As we practice this, as we observe the shadow of yesterday and begin to sever the cords that bind us to it, a question naturally arises. Who is it that clings so desperately to these painful stories? Who is this inner entity that builds its entire identity out of past grievances and bygone glories? If we are the sky, who is it that is so invested in identifying with the storm? To answer that, we must turn our gaze from the shadow to the shadow caster. We must begin a dialogue with the great protector, the master illusionist, the king of the past. We must turn to face the ego. Having traced the shadows of our present back to their source in the past, we come face to face with the shadow caster itself. It is the gatekeeper of our old stories, the one who clings to grievances and glories with equal ferocity. We call it the ego. And in most spiritual discourse, the ego is cast as the villain. The enemy within that must be starved, fought, and ultimately destroyed. But this is a declaration of war against ourselves, and all war is born of misunderstanding. To declare war on the ego is to give it exactly what it wants: a battle, a conflict, a reason to exist. The path to true peace is not through war, but through wisdom. It begins with a dialogue. It begins by understanding that the ego is not your enemy. The ego is your guardian, a loyal and deeply misguided protector who has been using the wrong tools for the job. Imagine a king ruling a small walled kingdom. This king is terrified. He knows, on some level, that his kingdom is temporary, that the walls are fragile, and that beyond the walls lies a vast, infinite landscape that he cannot comprehend or control. His terror of this vastness, of this impermanence, drives his every action. He spends his days polishing his crown, counting his gold, and issuing decrees to remind everyone, especially himself, that he is the king. He builds his entire identity on these external things: the crown, the gold, the title, because without them, he fears he is nothing. This terrified king is your ego. The kingdom is your constructed identity. The vast, infinite landscape beyond the walls is the reality of your true nature, your soul. The ego is a mental construct. It is the sense of I that you have built since childhood. It is a collage of labels: your name, your profession, your relationships, your accomplishments, your failures, your political beliefs, your physical appearance. It is the story you tell yourself about yourself. I am a doctor. I am a survivor. I am an anxious person. I am a parent. These labels are not inherently false, but they are profoundly incomplete. They are descriptions of your current role, not the essence of who you are. The ego clings to them because its very survival depends on them. Your soul, your true self, has no need for labels. It is eternal, formless, and intrinsically whole. It does not need to be a somebody because it is already part of everything. The ego, being a product of thought, is keenly aware of its own fragility. It knows it is a thought form, and like all thoughts, it is impermanent. This subconscious knowledge of its own impending dissolution is the source of all its fear. And this fear is the fuel for all its activity. It must constantly reinforce its own existence. How does it do this? Through separation and comparison. The ego cannot exist without another. It needs to define itself by what it is not. It creates a world of binaries: good and bad, right and wrong, success and failure, us and them. It then places itself on the better side of that equation. It thrives on judgment, on criticism, on gossip. When you are criticizing someone else, the ego feels a momentary sense of superiority. When you are feeling envy, the ego is torturing you with the story of your own lack. When you feel pride, the ego is puffing itself up with a fleeting sense of importance. Its primary language is the language of fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of having enough, fear of losing what it has. It is the voice in your head that says, "What will they think of me?" It is the sting of indignation you feel when someone insults you. It is the surge of pleasure you get when you are proven right. It is the relentless driver that pushes for more recognition, more wealth, more security, in a futile attempt to solidify its own shaky foundations. In stark contrast, your soul speaks a completely different language. It is a language the ego cannot understand. The soul speaks the language of unity, of connection. It sees no other. It looks at the world and sees only reflections of itself. Its primary emotions are love, compassion, and acceptance. It does not need to judge, because it understands that every being is on its own unique journey. It does not need to be right, because it is not invested in being separate. It does not need to be special, because it knows its own inherent, unshakable worth, a worth that is shared by all of existence. The voice of the soul is not a loud, demanding shout. It is a quiet, steady whisper. It is the feeling of awe when you look at a sunset. It is the warmth of genuine connection with another being. It is the sense of profound peace that occasionally breaks through the clouds of your thinking mind. Here, then, is the core internal conflict that defines the human experience. The loud, frantic monologue of the terrified king and the quiet, knowing presence of the vast kingdom. Our task is not to stage a violent coup, to kill the king and seize the throne. This only creates more chaos and more fear. Our task is to become the wise counselor, the one who can walk into the throne room, see the king trembling in his robes, and speak to him with compassion. The work is to begin a dialogue. This dialogue is an internal practice. When you feel that familiar flare of the ego, that surge of defensiveness when you are criticized, that pang of jealousy when you see another succeed, that smug satisfaction of being superior, your practice is to pause. Instead of being swept away by the emotion, you step back into the seat of the witness, the observer. You do not become the anger. You watch the anger arise. And in that space of watching, you can speak to the ego internally. You can say, "I see you. I see that you are feeling threatened right now. I hear your fear that we are being diminished. Thank you for trying to protect me. I understand you are doing your job, but I am safe. My worth is not determined by this person's opinion. I will handle this situation from a place of peace, not from a place of fear." This act is revolutionary. You are not repressing the emotion. You are not denying the ego. You are acknowledging it, honoring its intention, and then consciously choosing a different response. You are parenting your own mind. You are treating the terrified king not as a tyrant to be overthrown, but as a frightened child who needs reassurance. Over time, as you practice this, the king begins to relax. He realizes that you, the calm, conscious presence, are in charge. He doesn't need to be so vigilant, so defensive. The walls of his tiny kingdom can begin to come down, not because they were torn down in battle, but because he no longer feels the need for them. He starts to see the vast, beautiful landscape beyond, and realizes he is not just the king of a tiny, walled-off patch of dirt. He is an intrinsic part of the entire, magnificent kingdom. To bring this into your daily life, you need only one simple, powerful tool. It is a question. In any moment of emotional turmoil, ask yourself this: who is speaking right now? Is it the voice of fear, of separation, of needing to be right? Is it the terrified king defending his fragile domain? Or is there another possibility? Is there a choice that could come from a place of stillness, of connection, of compassion? This question is a flashlight in the dark throne room. It breaks the spell of unconscious reaction and pulls you back into the power of conscious awareness. It is the first step in reclaiming your inner kingdom, not through force but through love. This compassionate dialogue, this gentle dethroning of the ego from a position of absolute power, can only happen in one realm. The ego lives and thrives in the past, through regret and grievance, and in the future, through anxiety and planning. It builds its identity from yesterday's memories and seeks its security in tomorrow's hopes. There is one place, one dimension of existence, where its power completely dissolves, where its illusions cannot survive the light of truth. To truly step beyond its grasp, we must learn to inhabit that sacred space. We must learn to find refuge in the only sanctuary that has ever truly existed, the power of the present moment. We have spoken of the ego, that terrified king who draws his power from the ghosts of the past and the phantoms of the future. His entire kingdom of anxiety and identity is built upon the foundation of what he calls time. But there is a realm where his power dissolves into mist, a sanctuary where his decrees are meaningless and his fears have no purchase. This sanctuary is not a distant place you must journey to. It is not a state you must achieve after years of practice. It is the only place that has ever truly existed. It is the eternal, ever-present moment of now. Most of human suffering is a sickness of time. We are perpetually living in a state of non-existence. We are either held captive in the prison of the past, replaying old scenes, nursing old grievances, reliving old glories, or we are lost in the labyrinth of the future, rehearsing for anxieties that may never come, chasing after a salvation that is always just over the horizon. We have become so accustomed to this mental state that we believe it is normal. We believe that life is the story of what was and the projection of what will be. We have forgotten that life is only, ever, this breath, this sensation, this moment. The mind has become like a frantic monkey, driven by an inner restlessness, swinging wildly from the dead branch of the past to the imaginary branch of the future, never once pausing to rest on the solid, living trunk of the tree, which is the now. This avoidance of the present moment is the ego's most cunning survival strategy. Why? Because the past gives the ego its identity. Your story, your triumphs, your victimhood, these are the building blocks of the me the ego has constructed. The future, in turn, gives the ego its purpose, its project. It is the promise of fulfillment or the threat of annihilation. The ego needs the future to either achieve a state of completion, when I get that promotion, then I will be happy, or to have something to worry about, which reinforces its sense of importance and control. The present moment offers none of this. The now is formless. It is empty of story. In pure, unadulterated presence, there is no past to define you and no future to save you. There is only being. And in this state of pure being, the constructed, fragile identity of the ego cannot breathe. It feels like an annihilation. This is why the mind resists the now so fiercely. To truly arrive in the present is to let go of who you think you are. Consider the nature of your suffering. Where does it live? Anxiety is always future-oriented. It is the mind creating a negative projection and then reacting to it emotionally as if it were happening now. Guilt, regret, shame, resentment, these are all entirely dependent on the past. You cannot feel guilty about this present moment. You can only feel guilty by mentally leaving the now and revisiting a past event. All of these negative emotional states, which form the bedrock of so much human misery, are utterly dependent on what we might call psychological time. They cannot survive in the now. If you could bring your full, undivided attention into this very moment, your anxiety would dissolve, because you would realize you are not in that dreaded future scenario. You are here, breathing, safe. Your resentment would vanish, because the person who wronged you is not wronging you now. You are simply allowing the memory to poison your present. Peace, therefore, is not a destination you reach after you have solved all your problems. It is not something that will happen in the future when your life is perfectly arranged. That is the ego's great lie. Peace is a door that is always open, but it is a door that is only visible in the now. When you withdraw your energy and attention from the past and the future, and you anchor it fully in this moment, peace is what you find waiting for you. It was there all along. You were simply too busy time-traveling in your mind to notice it. This is the great secret. You do not create peace. You allow it. You uncover it. This is also the level at which you begin to truly co-create with the universe. The universe does not operate in the past or the future. It is a creative force that is unfolding in this eternal moment of now. When you are lost in thought, your energy is scattered. Your vibration is a chaotic mix of past regrets and future fears. You are out of sync with the creative flow, but when you become present, when your attention is gathered and anchored in the now, your entire being comes into alignment. You become a clear channel. Your intentions are no longer desperate pleas sent into a void. They become a clear signal broadcast in the present moment. It is from this state of presence that true insight, creativity, and inspired action arise. You are no longer struggling against the river of life. You are moving with its current, because the now is where the river flows. So how do we practice this? How do we bring the frantic monkey of the mind to rest on the solid trunk of the tree? We do it not by force, but by gentle invitation. We use our own bodies, our own senses, as an anchor. The mind can travel through time, but the body can only ever be here, now. The senses are the doorways into the present moment. I invite you to try this now. Wherever you are, bring your attention to the physical sensations of your body. Feel the points of contact between your body and the chair or the floor. Feel the weight of your own limbs. You don't need to change anything, just feel. Notice the subtle hum of energy that is always present within your hands, your feet, your chest. This is the life within you, and it is happening only now. Now, bring your attention to your hearing. Listen. Don't just listen for the most obvious sounds. Listen to the layered texture of sound around you. Perhaps there is traffic in the distance, the hum of a machine, the whisper of the wind. But listen deeper still. Can you hear the silence that is underneath all the sounds, the silence that is holding them all? That silence is the now. Now open your eyes and look at an object in front of you. A lamp, a flower, a cup. But look at it as if you have never seen it before. Do not allow your mind to name it. Do not think, that is a lamp. Simply perceive it. See its color, its shape, its texture. See the way the light falls upon it. In that moment of pure perception, without the filter of mental labeling, you are fully present. You are here. This practice of anchoring in the senses is your most powerful tool for escaping the prison of the mind. Every time you notice you are lost in thought, caught in a spiral of worry or regret, you can gently bring your attention back to one of your senses. Come back to your breath. Feel the simple, miraculous sensation of air entering and leaving your body. The breath is always in the now. It cannot breathe in the past or the future. Each conscious breath is an anchor dropped from the ship of your awareness into the calm, deep waters of the present moment. This is the solid tree where the monkey can finally rest. It is not about stopping the mind from thinking forever. It is about creating moments of respite, moments of sanity. It is about remembering that you are not the frantic activity of the mind. You are the calm, aware presence that can observe it. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You begin to spend more time living in the reality of the present and less time being a prisoner of your own thoughts. As we become more adept at inhabiting this space of now, we make a curious discovery. The discomforts of life do not necessarily vanish. In fact, by being more present, we may become more acutely aware of theme of physical pain, a difficult emotion, a challenging situation. But our relationship to them undergoes a radical transformation. Because we are no longer trying to escape the moment, we no longer see discomfort as an enemy to be avoided at all costs. Instead, it reveals itself to be something else entirely. We begin to see it as a messenger, a piece of intelligence arriving in the now, carrying a specific communication from the universe just for us. We begin to learn the language of discomfort. By anchoring ourselves in the sanctuary of the now, we have found a refuge from the tyranny of psychological time. But as we settle into this space of presence, we make a startling discovery. The world does not fall silent. The discomfort does not magically vanish. In fact, freed from the distractions of the past and future, we may become more acutely aware of the subtle and not so subtle currents of feeling that move through us. A knot of anxiety in the stomach, a wave of unexplained sadness, a flash of irritation. Our old conditioning, the voice of the ego, immediately labels these as problems. It tells us that peace is the absence of these feelings, and therefore, their presence must be a sign of failure. This is perhaps the most critical misunderstanding we must overcome on this journey. These feelings are not a sign that you are doing something wrong. They are a sign that your inner guidance system is working perfectly. You have simply forgotten how to read the signals. We have been raised in a culture that wages a relentless war on discomfort. From a young age, we are taught to suppress, to manage, or to distract ourselves from what we perceive as negative emotions. Don't cry. Control your anger. There's nothing to worry about. We have learned to treat our own feelings as inconvenient truths, as malfunctions in the machinery of a happy life. We have become experts at emotional avoidance. We numb ourselves with food, with entertainment, with work, with 1,000 different strategies to avoid the raw, vital information that our own bodies and souls are trying to give us. This creates the most fundamental internal conflict, the automatic, deeply ingrained reflex to flee from a difficult feeling versus the quiet, courageous calling of the soul to turn and face it. We have been treating these vital messengers like intruders. The great shift in consciousness occurs when we learn to see them as honored guests, arriving in the present moment with a crucial piece of wisdom meant only for us. Imagine that every emotion is a child, your child, who has come to you for help. Anxiety is a child who is trembling, convinced that something terrible is about to happen. Anger is a child with clenched fists and a red face, feeling deeply that something unfair has occurred. Sadness is a child who is weeping quietly in a corner, mourning a genuine loss. For years, our strategy has been to shout at these children, to tell the anxious one, "Stop being silly," to tell the angry one, "You have no right to feel that way," and to tell the sad one to get over it. How has that worked? The children have not gone away. They have simply learned to hide from us, acting out in subconscious ways, creating turmoil in our lives from the shadows. The only path to healing, the only path to true peace, is to stop shouting. It is to get down on one knee, to look these children in the eye, and to ask with genuine compassion, "What is it? Tell me what you need. I am listening." This is the practice of learning the language of discomfort. Each emotion has a unique message, a specific function. Let us begin to decode them. Consider anxiety. It is not a sign of a defective nervous system. Anxiety is a powerful signal that you have placed your sense of security in something that is inherently unstable. You have anchored your well-being to an outcome in the future, to another person's opinion, to the fluctuations of the stock market. Anxiety is your internal compass vibrating wildly, telling you, you are looking for solid ground in a shifting sea. Come back. Anchor yourself in the one thing that is real, your own breath, this present moment, your inner being. It is a call to return your faith to the only place it can ever be truly safe. Consider anger. We have been taught that anger is a destructive, negative force, and it can be when it is unexamined and explosive. But in its purest form, anger is a boundary keeper. It is a surge of life force energy that rises to say, "Number." It is the clear, powerful message that a core value has been betrayed, or a sacred personal line has been crossed. It is not telling you to attack, it is telling you to protect. It is calling for you to restore integrity to your life, to speak your truth, to honor your own space. To suppress anger is to allow your boundaries to be perpetually violated, leading to resentment and a feeling of powerlessness. To listen to anger is to learn the sacred art of self-respect. Consider sadness. In our relentless pursuit of happiness, we have made sadness into a disease. When we feel its heavy cloak, we rush to fix it, to cheer ourselves up. But sadness has a holy function. It is the heart's way of honoring what was loved and what was lost. To feel sad is to acknowledge value. The depth of your sadness is a testament to the depth of your love. Rushing through grief is an act of dishonoring what that person, that dream, that chapter of your life meant to you. Sadness is a call for stillness, for reflection, for allowing the heart to gently wash itself clean. Its message is not, "You are broken." Its message is, "This mattered," and you are spacious enough to hold the beauty of that memory. To engage in this new relationship with your feelings, we must first change our language, for language shapes reality. The next time a wave of sadness washes over you, resist the urge to say, "I am sad." The words "I am" are a powerful statement of identity. When you say, "I am sad," you fuse your entire being with the temporary emotion. There is no space between you and the feeling. Instead, try this subtle but profound shift in phrasing. "I am aware of sadness passing through me." Or, "I am sensing the energy of sadness in my body." Do you feel the difference? You have moved from being the emotion to being the witness of the emotion. You have reclaimed your position as the sky, not the cloud. This simple shift creates the space necessary for compassionate inquiry. Once you have created this space, you can perform the act of listening. When the feeling arises, instead of tensing up and looking for an exit, relax your body. Breathe into the physical location of the sensation. If it's a knot in your stomach, breathe into your stomach. If it's a tightness in your chest, breathe into your chest. You are not trying to push it away. You are creating a safe, spacious container for it to simply be. And then you ask your questions gently, internally, to the anxiety. What illusion of the future are you trying to protect me from? To the anger, what boundary needs to be honored? To the sadness, what is it that you are asking me to remember and to grieve? You do not need to search for an intellectual answer. Simply ask the question and then listen. The answer may come as a word, an image, or just a subtle shift in the feeling itself. When an emotion is truly heard, when its message is received with compassion and without judgment, a kind of magic happens. It begins to soften. The intensity dissipates. The energy that was trapped within it is released and integrated back into your system. The crying child, having been held and understood, finally becomes calm. This is the alchemy of presence. You have not conquered the emotion. You have loved it into wholeness. You have turned the raw, painful lead of a negative feeling into the gold of self-knowledge and wisdom. This profound practice of listening to our inner world, of allowing these energies to deliver their messages and then move on, is, at its heart, an act of release. We are not grasping onto the anger or hoarding the sadness. We are allowing them to flow, to inform us, and to depart. We are learning not to resist the natural currents of our own being. This realization, that healing comes not from holding on tighter but from opening our hands, is the gateway to one of the most essential skills on the spiritual path. It teaches us the liberating, transformative power of letting go. Having learned to sit with our discomfort, to listen to the messages of our emotions, we discover that the final act of this sacred dialogue is always one of release. The emotion, once heard and understood, is allowed to pass through us, its energy integrated, its form dissolved. This process reveals a profound truth. Healing is not found in accumulation, but in surrender. We now arrive at the practice that underpins all spiritual maturity, a practice that is not a single action but a continuous orientation of the soul. We arrive at the art of letting go. This art is a paradox, for it is an action that looks like inaction, a strength that appears as surrender. Our entire world is built on the principle of grasping. We are taught to hold on tightly, to our goals, to our relationships, to our beliefs, to our youth, to our very lives. The clenched fist is our symbol of determination and power. We believe that the tighter we grip, the more control we have. But have you ever tried to hold a handful of sand? The moment you clench your fist to secure it, the fine grains begin to escape through the cracks. The more desperate your grip, the faster your treasure trickles away until your hand is empty, sore, and tense. But if you hold your hand open, relaxed, and receptive, the sand rests there peacefully in your palm. This is the nature of life. Life does not respond to force. It yields to an open hand. What is it that we are clinging to with such desperate force? We cling to outcomes. We carry in our minds a precise blueprint of how our life should unfold. The career path, the perfect partner, the ideal family. We project this blueprint onto the fluid, unpredictable canvas of reality, and then we suffer immensely when the painting does not match the plan. Our suffering is not caused by reality itself, but by the tension between reality and our rigid attachment to the blueprint. We are not experiencing life. We are grading it based on a set of internal expectations. Letting go of an outcome is not about abandoning the goal. It is about falling in love with the process and trusting that the universe's final painting may be far more beautiful than your initial sketch. We cling to our identities. The ego, as we have seen, is a collage of stories. We cling to the story of being a victim because it brings us a strange form of comfort and absolves us of responsibility. We cling to the story of being the smart one because it props up our sense of worth. We even cling to our suffering because at least it is familiar. To let go of these stories, these identities, feels like a death. And in a way, it is. It is the death of the illusion, the death of the false self, and the ego will fight this death with all its might. But on the other side of this death is not an abyss, but a rebirth into the vast, labelless freedom of your true nature. We cling to people. We confuse love with attachment. We believe our happiness is dependent on another person's presence, their approval, their love. This is not love. It is a form of energetic vampirism. It creates a dynamic of fear and control, where we are constantly trying to manage the other person to ensure our own supply of happiness is not cut off. True love can only flourish in freedom. It is the ability to hold another in your heart with an open hand, to love them without needing them to be anything other than what they are, and to trust that your own well-being is sourced from within, not from them. The root of all this clinging is fear. It is the fear of the unknown, the fear of emptiness, the fear that if we open our hand, it will remain empty forever. The ego operates from a paradigm of scarcity. It believes there is a finite amount of love, success, and happiness, and it must hoard its share. To let go is an act of radical trust in abundance. It is to declare that you believe the universe is fundamentally benevolent, that life is a flowing river, not a barren desert. It is to know that by releasing what is no longer meant for you, you create the space for what is. This is the great and terrifying paradox of release. We believe our grip keeps us safe, but it is the very source of our pain. The tension of holding on creates a constant, low-grade stress in our nervous system, in our energy field. It makes us brittle, anxious, and defensive. The act of letting go, in contrast, feels like falling. It feels like a loss of control, and the ego will scream in protest. But it is not a fall into nothingness. It is a fall into the arms of grace. It is a surrender, not of your power, but of your resistance to a power far greater than your own. It is the ultimate statement of faith, a quiet whisper to the universe that says, I trust the flow, even when I cannot see the destination. I trust that you will hold me. How then do we practice this art in our daily lives? We begin with the breath. The breath is our greatest teacher of letting go. Every moment, you perform this cycle. You take in, and you release. You cannot only inhale. To cling to the breath is to die. Life is in the release. We can use this physical reality as a spiritual practice. The next time you feel yourself clinging to a worry, a resentment, or a desired outcome, bring your attention to your breath. As you inhale, consciously acknowledge the tension. Name it. This is the fear of failing. This is my anger at that person. This is my attachment to being right. Acknowledge it without judgment. And then, as you exhale, perform the release. Imagine your breath is a warm, gentle wind that is carrying the tension out of your body. Visualize your fist slowly unclenching. Feel the muscles in your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach soften. With each exhalation, you are letting go. You are opening your hand. We can extend this practice to our minds. When you find yourself obsessing over a person or a situation, spinning in circles of what-if scenarios, pause, close your eyes. In your mind, take the object of your attachment, the desired job, the person you miss, the outcome you crave, and place it gently into a beautiful vessel. It could be a hot air balloon, a small wooden boat, a luminous bubble. With a feeling of love and gratitude, not of rejection, gently release it. Watch the balloon float up into the vast blue sky. Watch the boat drift down a peaceful river. Let it go. Release it from the prison of your anxious need and entrust it to the wisdom of the universe. This act does not mean you will not receive what is meant for you. It means you are releasing your chokehold on it, allowing it to come to you in the right way, at the right time, if it is in alignment with your highest good. When you begin to practice this art, life starts to change. It becomes lighter. You feel a sense of freedom and spaciousness that was previously unimaginable. You are no longer fighting with reality, so you have an enormous amount of energy freed up. Things begin to flow to you with surprising ease. You become less reactive, more peaceful. You are no longer the clenched fist, but the open hand. This release of the need for external control does not lead to a life of passivity or apathy. It is not an excuse for laziness. In fact, the opposite is true. The energy that was once wasted on clinging, on worrying, on resisting, is now available to be used for conscious, focused action. By letting go of the need to control the world, you discover a far more potent and effective power. The power to master your inner world. You discover true self-discipline. Through the courageous art of letting go, we have released our white-knuckled grip on the world. We have ceased our struggle with the current of life, and in doing so, a vast reservoir of energy that was once consumed by resistance has been returned to us. But this liberated energy, like a river returned to its natural course, needs a channel. Without direction, it can become stagnant or scattered. This is where we encounter a word that, for many, is as charged and misunderstood as silence. That word is discipline. For most of us, the word discipline lands with a heavy thud. It conjures images of harsh restriction, of joyless obligation, of punishment. It carries the echo of authoritarian parents, demanding teachers, and a society that values productivity over presence. We associate it with gritting our teeth and forcing ourselves to do things we hate. And so, in our quest for freedom, we have often rejected discipline entirely. We have mistaken indulgence for freedom, procrastination for living in the moment, and a lack of structure for spiritual liberation. This is a profound and tragic misunderstanding. We have thrown away a master key because we mistook it for a shackle. True self-discipline is not the enemy of freedom, it is the architect of it. Imagine a sculptor standing before a raw, shapeless block of marble. The masterpiece, the beautiful form of the David or the Pietà, is already held as a potential within the stone. but it will not be revealed by chance. It cannot be liberated by neglect or wishful thinking. It can only be brought forth through the patient, consistent, and loving application of the chisel. Each tap is a small, deliberate act. On its own, it seems insignificant, but thousands of these focused, disciplined taps, applied over time, are what reveal the beauty within. Discipline is not the punishment of the stone. It is the devotion to the masterpiece sleeping inside it. You are both the sculptor and the stone. And true discipline is the act of lovingly chipping away everything that is not you, in order to reveal the magnificent form that has been there all along. The internal conflict we face is between our higher self, the sculptor who sees the vision, and our lower self, the part of us that fears the effort and the discomfort of the chisel. This lower self, a function of the ego, is a master of disguise. It cloaks its laziness in the noble language of freedom. I'll meditate when I feel inspired, it says. I should be spontaneous, not rigid. I need to rest right now. It champions the path of least resistance, the dopamine hit of instant gratification, the comfort of the familiar. It is the voice that convinces you to hit the snooze button, to scroll through your phone instead of reading a book, to choose the temporary pleasure that ultimately weakens you over the temporary discomfort that ultimately strengthens you. True self-discipline is the act of your conscious, loving self-parenting this pleasure-seeking, comfort-addicted aspect of your mind. It is the ultimate act of self-love. It is looking at your future self with such deep compassion and respect that you are willing to make a small sacrifice in the present for their benefit. Discipline is saying no to the third slice of cake because you love your body and the feeling of vitality it will have tomorrow. Discipline is turning off the television and sitting in silence for 5 minutes, even when you are tired, because you love your soul and the peace you are cultivating for it. Discipline is making your bed in the morning, not because of some rigid military ideal, but because you love yourself enough to start your day with one small, completed act of order and care. Each one of these small, disciplined actions is a powerful affirmation. It is a vote you cast for the person you are choosing to become. It is a message you send to the deepest parts of your own being and to the universe at large that you are worthy of the life you are creating. It is a declaration that you are no longer a passive victim of your habits and impulses, but the conscious creator of your reality. Discipline is the bridge that you build, plank by plank, between the vision of your highest self and its manifestation in the material world. Without that bridge, your dreams and intentions remain as ethereal fantasies on a distant shore. So how do we begin to build this bridge, especially when we feel burnt out, overwhelmed, or have a long history of breaking promises to ourselves? We do not begin with a grand, heroic gesture. That is the ego's way, and it almost always leads to failure and self-recrimination. We begin with a commitment that is so small, so simple, that it is almost impossible to fail. We begin with a 1-minute promise. If you wish to meditate, do not commit to 30 minutes a day. Commit to 1 minute. Place the cushion on the floor, set a timer for 60 seconds, and sit. That is it. If you wish to write a book, do not commit to a chapter a day. Commit to writing 1 sentence. Open the document, write 1 single sentence, and then close it. If you wish to become fit, do not commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to doing 1 push-up or 1 minute of stretching. The goal here is not the outcome. It is not the minute of meditation or the single sentence. The goal is to build the muscle of integrity. The goal is to prove to yourself that you are someone who honors their own word. When you keep this 1-minute promise, you achieve a 100% success rate for the day. You are building evidence for your subconscious mind that you are a person who follows through. You are creating a new identity. This small victory generates momentum. After a week of meditating for 1 minute, the act itself is no longer a hurdle. The neural pathway is formed. Moving to 2 minutes, or 5, is then a small step, not a giant leap. You are building the habit not of the activity itself, but of showing up for yourself. This is a gentle, compassionate, and profoundly effective way to cultivate discipline from a place of love, not of force. This is the work of the sculptor. The single tap of the chisel is your 1-minute commitment. It doesn't look like much. The stone barely seems to change. Some days it feels tedious and pointless, but you are not just chipping away at an external task. You are transforming your own character. You are shaping your will. The masterpiece is not merely the finished statue. It is the focused, patient, and loving being you become in the process of creating it. As you continue this practice of gentle, consistent discipline, something miraculous happens. It begins to create space. By deciding ahead of time when and how you will act, you eliminate the endless, energy-draining internal debate of should I or shouldn't I. You clear away the mental fog of procrastination and the guilt that follows it. You are carving out pockets of clear, intentional time and energy within your day. Your life begins to feel less cluttered, less chaotic. You have created, through your own loving effort, a cleared and fertile patch of ground within the wilderness of your mind. And it is into this quiet, cultivated space, this sacred ground that you have prepared with your own devotion, that you can now begin to consciously sow the seeds of what you truly desire to grow. You are ready to move from shaping yourself to shaping your world. You are ready to plant your intentions. Through the gentle power of discipline, we have become the loving sculptor of our own character. We have cleared a space. We have created a sanctuary of order and intention within the wild landscape of the mind. The question that now arises is a beautiful one. What shall we plant in this fertile ground? For years, perhaps a lifetime, this garden has been untended, sown with the random seeds of cultural conditioning, past traumas, and fleeting desires. Weeds of self-doubt have grown alongside thorny bushes of resentment. Now, for the first time, we stand as conscious gardeners, holding the seeds of our truest intentions in our hands, ready to cultivate a reality that is in alignment with our soul. This is the art of conscious creation. It is a topic often discussed under the name of the law of attraction, a concept that has been both powerfully illuminating and widely misunderstood. It is not a transactional system, not a cosmic vending machine where you insert a positive thought and receive a desired object. To see it that way is to remain in the transactional world of the ego. The universe is not a waiter taking your order. It is a vast, intelligent, energetic field that responds not to your words, not to your fleeting wants, but to the fundamental frequency of your being. Everything in existence, from the chair you are sitting on to the thoughts in your mind, is energy vibrating at a particular frequency. Your dominant emotional state, the feeling you carry most often throughout your day, is your personal energetic signature. This is the signal you are broadcasting to the universe, and the universe, by its very nature, must return to you experiences, people, and circumstances that are a vibrational match. This is why simply thinking a positive thought while feeling a deep sense of lack is ineffective. It is like playing a beautiful melody on a piano that is hopelessly out of tune. The universe does not hear the melody of your thought. It feels the dissonance of your vibration. The great secret of creation, therefore, is not to think about what you want, but to become the person to whom that reality would be a natural experience. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Let us return to our garden. The seeds you hold in your hand are your clear, conscious intentions. A desire for a loving partnership, a desire for financial peace, a desire for creative fulfillment, a desire for health. These seeds are potent, containing the complete blueprint for their manifestation. But a seed, no matter how perfect, cannot grow in toxic soil. The soil of your mind is your subconscious belief system, the sum total of the conclusions you have drawn about yourself and the world. If you plant a seed of, "I desire a loving partnership," into soil that is saturated with the belief, "I am unworthy of love," the seed will not sprout. It cannot. The environment is hostile to its nature. This is why our previous work of examining the past, of healing our relationship with our emotions, has been so crucial. We have been detoxifying the soil. Then there are the weeds. The weeds are the automatic negative thoughts that sprout up daily, remnants of old programming. You'll never be able to do that. You're not smart enough. Who do you think you are? The untrained gardener sees these weeds and panics. They either try to violently rip them out, disturbing the soil and the delicate seeds, or they become discouraged and let the weeds take over the entire garden. The conscious gardener has a different approach. They know that the weeds will appear. They do not fight them. They do not give them energy or attention. They simply and gently turn their focus back to what they want to grow. They water the flowers, not the weeds. Every moment you spend ruminating on a negative thought, you are watering a weed. Every moment you spend cultivating a feeling of peace or joy, you are watering a flower. The choice of where to place your attention is your power as the gardener. So how do we plant our seeds and water our flowers in a practical way? We do it by mastering the language of the universe, which is the language of feeling. The feeling is the prayer that is always answered. The feeling is the vibrational signature that the universe mirrors back to you. The key is to generate the feeling of your desire fulfilled before it has manifested. This is the alchemical shift from the old paradigm of reacting to reality to the new paradigm of creating it. Here is a practice. Each morning, before you engage with the world, before you pick up your phone or get lost in your to-do list, take a few minutes to sit in the quiet garden of your mind. You have cleared this space with your discipline. Now, plant your seeds for the day, but do not do it with a list of plans. Do it with a palette of feelings. Ask yourself, what is the dominant feeling I choose to inhabit today? If you have a challenging meeting, do not visualize all the things that could go wrong. Instead, generate the feeling of clarity, of calm confidence, of mutual respect. Feel it in your body. Let the sensation of calm confidence permeate your cells. If you are seeking more abundance, do not focus on the lack of money in your account. That is watering the weed of lack. Instead, cultivate the feeling of security, of ease, of freedom. Remember a time you felt completely secure, even if it was just for a moment, and expand that feeling. Let the sensation of ease be your dominant vibration. You are not pretending. You are not being delusional. You are being a conscious creator. You are choosing your energetic state rather than letting your external circumstances dictate it. By generating the feeling first, you are tuning your instrument. You are broadcasting a clear, coherent signal into the field. You are literally becoming the person to whom a peaceful meeting or a sense of financial ease is a natural, normal occurrence. You are preparing the soil and watering the seed with the high-frequency energy of your chosen state. You are the conscious gardener of your life. You do not throw seeds into the wind and hope for the best. You tend to your inner world with the same care you would give to a physical garden. You prepare the soil by healing your limiting beliefs. You plant the seeds of your clear intentions. You water them daily with the elevated feelings of their fulfillment. And you gently and persistently withdraw your attention from the weeds of fear and doubt. You trust the process. You know that you do not need to see the sprout tomorrow to know that the seed is germinating under the surface. Your job is to tend to the conditions, to maintain the vibration. The germination and the growth are the work of the universe. As we stand in this beautiful, cultivated garden of the mind, with our intentions planted and our hearts aligned with the feeling of their reality, we realize that there is one more essential element required for the most abundant growth. A garden needs sunlight. Without it, even the most fertile soil and perfect seeds will fail to thrive. In the ecosystem of consciousness, there is a universal nutrient, a powerful, high-frequency energy that acts as the very sunlight of the soul, accelerating all growth and drawing to it all that is good. This essential, life-giving light is the energy of gratitude. We stand now as conscious gardeners in the fertile, ordered space of our own minds. We have prepared the soil, and we have planted the seeds of our deepest intentions, watering them with the powerful feeling of their fulfillment. But for this garden to truly flourish, for it to reach its most magnificent and abundant expression, it requires one final, essential element. It requires sunlight. In the inner ecosystem of consciousness, the sunlight that nourishes all growth, that accelerates every miracle, and that illuminates the path of creation, is the radiant energy of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a social courtesy. It is not the polite thank you we offer when someone holds a door open. That is the surface of it. True gratitude is a profound state of being. It is a frequency, a high vibration energy that has the power to transmute our entire reality. Yet, for most of us, gratitude is not our default setting. The human mind, as a product of evolution, has developed a powerful negativity bias. It is a highly sophisticated scanner, constantly searching the environment not for what is good, but for what is wrong. It scans for threats, for problems, for deficiencies. There is not enough money. That person doesn't respect me. I am not healthy enough. This internal scarcity scanner was once a crucial survival tool, keeping our ancestors alert to predators and potential famines. But in our modern world, this outdated mental software has become the primary source of our anxiety and dissatisfaction. It keeps us locked in a perpetual state of not enough. This is the great internal conflict we must resolve. The subconscious, habitual pull of the mind toward perceived lack versus the conscious, chosen act of focusing on existing abundance. This is the battle between the inner critic and the appreciative heart. The practice of gratitude is the conscious and deliberate act of overriding the default programming. It is the decision to intentionally redirect the powerful searchlight of your attention away from the illusion of what is missing and to shine it fully on the truth of what is already present. This is where the true physics of creation comes into focus. Gratitude is the frequency of abundance. It is the energetic signature of already having. Think about it. It is impossible to feel genuine, heartfelt gratitude and a sense of lack at the exact same moment. The two feelings are mutually exclusive. They vibrate at entirely different frequencies. When you are in a state of complaint, you are vibrating at the frequency of the problem, thus attracting more circumstances to complain about. When you are in a state of worry, you are vibrating at the frequency of uncertainty, thus attracting more chaos into your life. But when you are in a state of gratitude, you are vibrating at the frequency of the solution, of the blessing, of wholeness. By its very nature, gratitude declares to the universe, I have enough, I am enough, I am blessed. And the universe, which is a perfect mirror for your dominant energy, has no choice but to reflect back to you more experiences, more circumstances, and more reasons to feel grateful. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. It closes the gap between you and your desires. When you want something from a place of desperate need, you are powerfully broadcasting the energy of its absence. But when you can find things to be grateful for right now, you shift your entire being into a state of fullness. You are telling the universe that you are already whole, and your desire is not a desperate attempt to fill a hole, but a joyful opportunity for even more expansion. This is the difference between begging for rain in a drought and joyfully preparing the soil, knowing the rain will come. Gratitude is the act of preparing the soil. It is the ultimate expression of faith. How do we cultivate this state, especially when life feels difficult and blessings seem few and far between? We begin where we are, with the small and the simple. We create a practice. One of the most tangible ways to do this is to create a gratitude jar. Find a simple jar or a box and keep it with a small pad of paper and a pen. Every day, perhaps before you go to sleep, make it a non-negotiable ritual to write down one thing from your day for which you are genuinely grateful. It does not have to be monumental. I am grateful for the warmth of the sun on my face this afternoon. I am grateful for the delicious cup of coffee that started my day. I am grateful for the kind smile a stranger gave me. Write it down, fold the paper, and place it in the jar. This simple physical act does several things. It forces you to actively scan your day for the positive, retraining your brain's focus. The act of writing it down makes the gratitude more concrete, and over time, the jar fills. This jar becomes your physical evidence of a blessed life. It becomes your spiritual first aid kit. On days when you feel low, when the old scarcity programming kicks in and the mind tells you that your life is full of problems, you can go to your jar. You can open it, unfold these small notes, and read the catalog of your own hidden joys. You are reminding yourself of the truth of your own abundance, using your own words as the medicine. To deepen the practice, learn to be grateful for the mundane, for the things we take for granted. Can you feel a wave of gratitude for the chair that is supporting you right now? For the miracle of the electricity that is powering the device you are listening on? For the simple, astounding fact of your own body, a heart that beats without your command, lungs that draw breath, eyes that perceive color and light? To be grateful for the ordinary is to transform the ordinary into the miraculous. It is to walk through your day in a state of quiet wonder, realizing that you are surrounded by an ocean of grace. Gratitude is the sunlight that illuminates the landscape of your life. The landscape itself may not change. There are still mountains to climb and valleys to cross. But the sunlight of gratitude changes how you perceive everything. A difficult job, seen through the lens of gratitude, becomes an opportunity for growth and a source of income that provides for your needs. A challenging relationship becomes a sacred assignment for learning patience and compassion. The sunlight does not remove the features of the landscape, but it bathes them in a warm, radiant light, revealing the hidden beauty and purpose in all things. Your perception shifts, and as your perception shifts, your entire experience of reality is transformed. As you commit to this practice, as you make gratitude your home frequency, a radical and beautiful transformation begins to occur. The line between good things and bad things starts to blur. You find yourself feeling a strange sense of gratitude not just for your joys, but for your struggles. You look back at a past failure and realize it was the catalyst for your greatest strength. You look at a painful loss and see that it opened your heart in ways you could never have imagined. You begin to suspect that there are no mistakes, no wrong turns. You begin to understand that the universe, in its infinite wisdom, has been working for you all along. You begin to look at every circumstance, no matter how challenging, and you ask a new question. You ask, what is the gift here? As we learn to inhabit the high frequency of gratitude, our perception of the world begins to shimmer and transform. The light of appreciation, once cultivated, starts to illuminate even the darkest corners of our experience. We find ourselves giving thanks not only for our joys, but also for our struggles. This leads us to a profound and challenging frontier of consciousness. The understanding that within every adversity, there lies a hidden gift. This is perhaps the most difficult teaching to embrace. It asks us to look at our deepest pain, our most profound losses, our most frustrating failures, and believe that they are not random acts of a cruel universe, but sacred assignments from a wise and loving intelligence. This is not a call for toxic positivity. It is not an invitation to deny our pain or to pretend that hardship does not hurt. The pain is real. The tears are necessary. The grief is holy. The invitation is to look deeper, beneath the surface of the pain, for the pearl of wisdom that is always, without exception, waiting to be discovered. It is to trust that the universe is not a punishing adversary, but a master blacksmith. And the challenges of our lives are the fire and the hammer, designed not to shatter us, but to forge us. We are conditioned to interpret adversity through the lens of the ego. From this perspective, hardship is always a personal affront. It is an injustice. It is a sign that we are being punished, that we are unlucky, or that life is fundamentally unfair. This is the "why me" narrative. It is the story of the victim. And while this narrative may offer a temporary comfort, the comfort of being blameless, It is a gilded cage. It traps us in a state of resentment, bitterness, and powerlessness. It anchors us to our suffering, forcing us to endlessly replay the story of our grievance. There is another perspective, a perspective that requires immense courage and faith. It is the perspective of the soul. From this viewpoint, our lives are not a random series of events, but a purposeful curriculum designed for our own evolution. Every challenge is a lesson. Every obstacle is an opportunity. The difficulty is not a mistake. It is precisely calibrated to help us grow the spiritual muscles we most need to develop. The person who needs to learn patience will be given long lines and frustrating delays. The person who needs to learn courage will be presented with situations that feel terrifying. The person who needs to learn forgiveness will be faced with that which feels unforgivable. This is the great and often painful conflict. The ego's desire for a comfortable, easy, obstacle-free life versus the soul's deep primal yearning for growth, a growth that can only be achieved by pushing against resistance. A diamond, after all, is just a piece of coal that handled pressure exceptionally well. The universe does not send these challenges to destroy you. It sends them to awaken you. It sends them to break you open, to shatter the hard shell of the ego, so that the light of your true self can shine through. The most profound spiritual awakenings are almost always preceded by a period of intense difficulty, what some call the dark night of the soul. It is in losing everything that we are forced to find the one thing that can never be lost, the indestructible presence of our own consciousness. Pain is a powerful alarm clock. It shakes us from our complacency. It forces us to question our lives, our beliefs, and our priorities. It is often the catalyst that begins our search for a deeper meaning. Let us reframe our adversities. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a vital part of it. It is the universe providing you with critical feedback. It is a master teacher showing you the flaws in your approach, the limits of your knowledge, the areas where you need to grow. To fear failure is to fear learning. Loss, in its heartbreak, is a profound revealer of love. It carves into our hearts a space of such depth that we become capable of holding more compassion, more empathy, more understanding for all other beings who suffer. It teaches us what truly matters, stripping away the trivial and leaving only the essential. Even illness can be a messenger, a powerful signal from the body that something in our life, our diet, our stress, our unresolved emotional pain is out of alignment and crying out for attention and healing. The most transformative shift you can ever make is to change the primary question you ask when faced with difficulty, to move from the powerless question, "Why is this happening to me?" to the empowering question, "What is this trying to teach me?" The first question casts you as the victim. The second casts you as the student. The first seeks blame. The second seeks wisdom. By asking this new question, you are taking back your power. You are telling the universe that you are ready for the lesson. You are signaling that you are no longer interested in the story of your suffering. You are interested in the gift of your growth. To strengthen this muscle of perception, we can practice an alchemy on our past. Choose a significant challenge from your life that you have already navigated. Do not choose a crisis you are currently in. That is advanced practice. Choose a past failure, a past heartbreak, a past struggle that, from the vantage point of today, you can see you have survived. Now, take a piece of paper and with a sincere heart, answer this question. What were the gifts of that difficulty? Write down at least 3. Perhaps the failure of a business taught you resilience and led you down a career path that was far more fulfilling. Perhaps a painful breakup taught you self-reliance and opened you up to a love that was healthier and more true. Perhaps a period of financial struggle taught you what you truly value and brought you closer to your family. As you do this, you are retraining your mind. You are providing it with direct historical evidence from your own life that adversity contains gifts. You are building a foundation of trust in the process of life. The more you can see the hidden order and intelligence in your past, the more you can trust that the same hidden order is operating in your present. you begin to understand that you have not been stumbling through a chaotic and meaningless world. You have been walking a carefully curated path of initiation, guided by a wisdom beyond your comprehension. This is the perspective of the blacksmith's forge. The raw iron of your being is placed in the consuming fire of a great challenge. It is heated until it is red and glowing, all its impurities burning away. It is then placed on the anvil and struck again and again by the hammer of loss, of failure, of pain. This is not destruction, this is shaping, this is strengthening. Finally, it is plunged into the cold water of grief, a shock that tempers the metal, making it no longer brittle, but strong and flexible. You emerge from the forge not broken, but transformed. You are no longer a piece of raw, untested iron. You are a finely tempered sword, sharp with wisdom, resilient with strength. Your scars are not marks of damage, but beautiful engravings that tell the story of your forging. One of the most essential lessons forged in these fires is the lesson of self-worth and integrity. The heat burns away our need to please others, our tolerance for disrespect, our willingness to betray ourselves for the sake of peace. We are hammered into a new shape, one that knows its own edges, its own value, and its own non-negotiable truths. In the heart of adversity, we learn what we will and will not stand for. We discover the sacred power of our own boundaries. Having walked through the blacksmith's fire of adversity, we emerge not broken, but forged. The heat has burned away our impurities, and the hammer has shaped us into a form that is both stronger and more authentic. This process instills in us a deep, unshakable sense of our own intrinsic worth. We are no longer defined by the opinions of others, but by the quiet truth of our own resilient spirit. This newfound self-respect now seeks expression, a way to honor its own value in our interactions with the world. This is where we learn the sacred and often misunderstood power of boundaries. The word boundary can sound harsh, like a wall designed to keep people out. We imagine it as an act of separation, of coldness, of rejection. But this is a profound misconception. A sacred boundary is not a wall. It is a beautifully tended fence around a sacred garden. The fence is not there to block the sun or the rain or the pollinating bees. It is there to define the space, to protect the delicate seedlings from being trampled, and to create a safe and intentional environment where life can flourish. For too long, many of us have left the gate to our sacred garden wide open. We have allowed anyone and everyone to wander in, to take our resources, to trample our peace, and to sow their own seeds of chaos in our soil. We did this not because we were generous, but because we were afraid. The lack of personal boundaries almost always stems from a deep-seated fear. It is the fear of rejection, the fear of being seen as selfish, the fear of disappointing others. It is the voice of the inner child who learned long ago that their worth, their safety, their very access to love was conditional upon being compliant, helpful, and agreeable. This is the root of the disease to please. We say yes when our entire being is screaming no. We take on a colleague's work because we are afraid they won't like us if we refuse. We listen to a friend's endless complaints, absorbing their negativity because we don't want to be seen as a bad friend. We attend social events that drain our energy because we fear the loneliness of missing out. Each of these small acts of self-betrayal is a nail in the coffin of our own well-being. We become energetic doormats, and then we build a deep well of resentment toward the very people we are trying so hard to please, wondering why we feel so exhausted and unseen. This is the internal conflict, the desperate, conditioned desire to be liked and approved of by everyone, versus the soul's primal need for authenticity, for space, for peace. The truth is, when you say yes to something that is not in alignment with your spirit, you are saying a profound no to yourself. You are telling the universe that everyone else's needs, priorities, and desires are more important than your own. You are abandoning your own sacred garden to go tend to someone else's, often leaving your own to be overgrown with the weeds of burnout and bitterness. Setting a boundary is not an act of aggression. It is a declaration of self-worth. It is a calm, clear, and loving statement of truth. It is the practice of honoring your own energy, your own time, and your own priorities. A boundary is not about controlling another person's behavior. It is about being clear about what you will and will not participate in. It is saying with quiet integrity, "This is where I end and you begin. This is the line of respect for my own being. I will meet you here, at this line, with an open heart, but I will not allow you to cross it." This is one of the most loving things you can do, not only for yourself, but for others. When you are clear about your boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. You give them a clear and honest blueprint for how to be in a healthy relationship with you. An unspoken no that festers into resentment is a poison that corrodes connection. A clear, kind no that is spoken from a place of self-respect is a foundation upon which true, honest relationships can be built. A powerful, loving yes to your own well-being is the most sacred gift you can give to the world, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. The world does not need another martyr, another burnt-out people-pleaser. It needs centered, peaceful, energized individuals who are living in alignment with their own truth. Your boundary is the guardian of that inner light. So, how do we practice this gentle art, especially if we are conditioned to be pathologically agreeable? We begin not with confrontation, but with a pause. The automatic yes is a reflex, born of fear. Our first task is to interrupt that reflex. The next time someone asks something of you, whether it is a small favor or a large commitment, resist the urge to answer immediately. Instead, employ the power of the pause. You can say with a calm smile, "Thank you for asking. Let me check my schedule and get back to you." Or, "That sounds interesting. Let me think about that for a little while." This pause is a sacred space. It is a moment you give yourself to come home to your own body, to your own intuition. In that pause, you can ask yourself the real questions. Do I truly have the time and energy for this? Am I feeling a joyful, expansive yes in my body? Or am I feeling a contracted sense of obligation? Am I considering this out of love or out of fear? The pause is your moment to consult your own inner wisdom before you give your energy away. More often than not, in that quiet space, the right answer will become clear. If the answer is no, the next step is to deliver it with clarity and kindness, but without excessive justification. The ego feels the need to provide a long list of excuses, because it is still seeking the other person's approval of its decision. The authentic self knows that its no is sufficient. You can say, "I've had a chance to think about it, and while I appreciate the offer, I won't be able to participate at this time." Or, "Thank you for your trust in me, but I don't have the energetic capacity to take that on right now." There is no need for elaborate apologies or fabricated reasons. You are not a bad person for having limits. You are a wise person for honoring them. This is the act of tending to the fence around your sacred garden. It is not something you do once. It is a continuous practice of mindfulness. It is checking the perimeter daily, mending the places where the fence has weakened, and lovingly trimming back the vines that seek to encroach upon your space. It is a quiet, steady act of devotion to the beautiful life you are cultivating within. The practice of setting boundaries is, at its core, an exercise in conscious energy management. It is the deliberate act of choosing where your most precious, non-renewable resource, your life force, will be invested. As you become more skilled at containing and directing your personal energy, you inevitably become more sensitive to its very nature. You begin to experience yourself and the world not just as solid physical matter, but as a dynamic, flowing field of vibration. You start to realize that you are not simply a body that has energy. You are a being of energy, living in a universe made of energy, governed by energetic laws. This realization is the key to the next great unfolding of your power. You are the frequency you broadcast. By learning to honor the sacred space of our own being through boundaries, we have become responsible stewards of our own energy. We have stopped the leaks and plugged the drains, allowing our inner reservoir of life force to replenish. This practice naturally leads us to a more intimate and profound understanding of what this energy truly is. We begin to move beyond the idea of having energy and into the direct experience of being energy. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is the fundamental truth of our existence. Modern physics and ancient mysticism are in agreement on this point. The universe, at its core, is not made of solid matter. It is made of vibrating energy. The chair you sit in, the air you breathe, the body you inhabit, and the thoughts you think are all just energy, vibrating at different frequencies. You are a broadcasting tower. Every moment of every day, you are sending out a signal, a frequency that is determined by the sum total of your inner state. This signal is not composed of words or images. It is composed of the pure vibration of your dominant thoughts and, more powerfully, your dominant emotions. This broadcast is your energetic signature, and it is this signature that dictates the reality you experience. You have been broadcasting a signal your entire life, but perhaps, until now, you have been doing so unconsciously, allowing the program to be dictated by old wounds, habitual fears, and the chaotic noise of the world. The invitation now is to step into the control room, to become a conscious broadcaster, and to deliberately choose the frequency you send out into the world. To do this, we must first understand the spectrum of our own inner states. Think of your emotions as notes on a musical scale. At the lower end of the scale, we have the dense, slow vibrations. These are the frequencies of shame, of guilt, of apathy, of fear. When you are in one of these states, how does your body feel? It feels heavy, contracted, dense. Your posture slumps, your breathing becomes shallow, your energy drains away. Your perception of the world narrows until all you can see are problems, limitations, and threats. These frequencies are not bad, but they are states of low life force, of deep disconnection from your true power. At the higher end of the scale, we have the light, fast vibrations. These are the frequencies of courage, of acceptance, of reason, of peace, and highest of all, of love and joy. When you are in one of these states, your body feels light, open, and expansive. Your energy levels rise, your posture naturally straightens. You feel a sense of connection and possibility. Your perception widens, and you begin to see solutions, opportunities, and the beauty in the world around you. To change your life is the art of learning how to consciously and consistently tune your own instrument to these higher frequencies. This is not just a pleasant way to feel. It is the very mechanism of creation, for the universe operates on an immutable principle, the law of resonance. You may remember this from a science class. If you strike a tuning fork pitched to the note of C, any other C tuning fork in the room will begin to vibrate sympathetically. It cannot help it. It is responding to a frequency that matches its own nature. We are living tuning forks in a universe of infinite tuning forks. Our personal frequency causes people, ideas, resources, and circumstances that resonate with that same frequency to vibrate and be drawn into our experiential field. This explains the profound and often frustrating internal conflict we experience. We consciously desire a loving relationship, which is a high-frequency experience. But if we are subconsciously broadcasting a frequency of unworthiness and resentment from past hurts, a low-frequency signal, we cannot attract what we desire. It is a vibrational impossibility. A C tuning fork can never activate a G tuning fork. We end up attracting partners who mirror our own unresolved pain, confirming our low-frequency beliefs about ourselves. We desire financial abundance, but if our dominant energetic state is one of worry and lack, we repel the very opportunities and ideas that would lead to that abundance. The universe is not punishing you. It is simply a perfect, non-judgmental mirror, flawlessly reflecting your own energy back to you. The revolutionary truth is this: to change the reflection, you must not try to manipulate the mirror. You must change what you are holding in front of it. You must change yourself. This is the end of blame. This is the end of feeling like a victim of circumstance. It is the beginning of radical self-responsibility and unimaginable power. To change your life, you stop trying to change your boss, your partner, your financial situation. You turn your attention inward, and you focus on the only thing you have ever truly had control over, your own vibrational output. How do we do this in a practical, moment-to-moment way? We begin by moving from a reactive state to a creative one. Before you enter a situation, instead of hoping it goes well, you decide what energy you will bring to it. For example, before an important meeting at work, take 60 seconds for yourself. Close your eyes. Do not rehearse what you will say. Instead, ask yourself, what frequency do I choose to broadcast in this room? Choose a state. Perhaps it is calm confidence. Perhaps it is creative collaboration. Perhaps it is peaceful resolution. Now, generate that feeling in your body. Remember a time you felt calm and confident. Embody it. Feel the physical sensations of that state. Breathe it in. You are pre-paving your experience with a chosen frequency. You are walking into that room not as a passive reactor to the existing energy, but as the conscious creator of the energetic tone. You become the tuning fork that causes the rest of the room to resonate with you rather than the other way around. Think of yourself as the DJ of your own life's radio station. For a long time, you may have been unconsciously playing the anxiety and drama hour, followed by the late-night resentment show. And you have attracted an audience that loves that kind of programming. They thrive on it. When you make the conscious decision to change the broadcast, to switch the station to peaceful solutions or unconditional love, it will feel strange at first. The old audience, the friends who only connect with you through complaint, the situations that thrive on chaos, will become uncomfortable. They are not tuned to this new frequency. Over time, they will naturally drift away. They will find another station that plays their preferred songs of misery. And a new audience, one that has been searching for the frequency of peace and love, will begin to find you. Your new broadcast will be a beacon for your true tribe, for opportunities that align with your joy, for a reality that mirrors your newfound inner harmony. This universal law of resonance, this infallible principle that what you broadcast is what you experience, is not a new idea. It is an ancient wisdom that has been described in many ways across many cultures. It is the deep, mechanical truth that underlies a concept often shrouded in mystery and fear, a concept that is not about cosmic judgment, but about a perfect, impersonal mirroring of energy. It is the law that states that what you sow, you shall reap. It is the law of karma. Having explored the universal principle of resonance, understanding that we are energetic beings who attract what we broadcast, we arrive at an ancient concept that is built upon this very foundation. It is a word that is heavy with the weight of mythology, fear, and misunderstanding. That word is karma. For many, karma is imagined as a great cosmic accounting system run by a stern, judgmental deity who keeps a detailed ledger of our rights and wrongs. We envision a future reckoning, a punishment for past sins, a reward for good deeds. This entire model is a projection of human justice systems onto the flawless and impersonal laws of the universe. It is a paradigm rooted in fear, and it is time to let it go. Karma is not a judge. It is not a system of celestial punishment and reward. Karma is a mirror. It is the universe's perfect, non-judgmental reflection of our own energy, extended through time. The myth of a punishing karma is one of the ego's most powerful tools for keeping us trapped in low-frequency states of fear and guilt. When we believe that our past mistakes have condemned us to a future punishment, we live in a state of perpetual anxiety, constantly looking over our shoulder for the arrival of this karmic debt. This fear itself is a low-frequency broadcast that, ironically, attracts more difficult circumstances, which the ego then points to as proof of the punishment we deserve. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of suffering. This is the internal conflict. the paralyzing fear of a vengeful fate that we cannot escape, versus the liberating understanding of a neutral, responsive universe that is simply mirroring our own choices back to us. To truly understand karma, we must remove all notions of morality, of good and bad, of reward and punishment. We must see it for what it is, the universal law of cause and effect, as it applies to consciousness. It is the law of resonance, but with the added dimension of time. Every action, every word, every thought, and most importantly, every intention you have ever had is a causa seed planted in the energetic field of the universe. The circumstances, relationships, and events that return to you are the effect, the harvest that grows from the seeds you have planted. This law is as neutral and impersonal as the law of gravity. Gravity does not punish you for stepping off a cliff. It does not judge you as bad for ignoring the laws of physics. It simply responds, infallibly, to the cause you have set in motion. In the same way, karma does not punish you for acting out of anger. It simply and perfectly arranges circumstances that will reflect that energy of anger back to you, so that you may see and understand the nature of the energy you are emitting. The universe does not give you what you deserve. It gives you what you are. It gives you a perfect reflection of your own consciousness, not so you will suffer, but so you will awaken. The entire purpose of karma is not retribution, it is education. It is a feedback loop designed to guide you back to a state of harmony, peace, and love. The most crucial element in this equation, the one that the simple punishment model ignores, is intention. The energetic signature of an action is determined not by the action itself, but by the consciousness behind it. Accidentally tripping someone in the street has a completely different karmic imprint than deliberately tripping them with the intention to cause harm. The first is a neutral event. The second is a seed of malice, a low-frequency broadcast that will inevitably attract a corresponding low-frequency experience back into your life, not as punishment, but as a reflection, a lesson in the nature of malice. This is why two people can perform the exact same action and experience vastly different results. The universe is not responding to the action. It is responding to the frequency of the consciousness that initiated the action. Herein lies the most liberating and empowering truth about karma. Your karmic state is not a fixed destiny written in stone, dictated by your past. Your point of power is always, and only, now. While your present circumstances are the harvest of seeds planted yesterday, your thoughts, intentions, and actions in this very moment are the seeds you are planting for all of your tomorrows. You can change your karmic trajectory in a single instant. The moment you choose to act with kindness instead of cruelty, with forgiveness instead of resentment, with peace instead of agitation, you are planting a new kind of seed. You are broadcasting a new frequency. You are creating a new cause, which by universal law must be followed by a new effect. Do not be a prisoner of your past. Do not live in fear of retribution. The universe is not holding a grudge. The past does not exist except as a memory in your mind. The only thing that is real is the choice you make in this moment. If you have a long history of planting seeds of anger and fear, the garden of your life may currently be full of those corresponding weeds. You cannot change that overnight, but you can right now choose to plant a new seed. You can plant a flower of compassion, and then another, and another. Over time, as you consistently plant seeds of a higher frequency, the garden of your life will inevitably transform. The old weeds will be crowded out by the new beautiful growth. The peace you choose today is the literal, physical reality of peace that you will harvest in your future. A powerful way to practice this, to consciously plant high-frequency karmic seeds, is to engage in acts of anonymous kindness. Go out of your way to do something helpful or generous for someone else, with absolutely no possibility of them finding out it was you. Pay for the coffee of the person in the car behind you. Leave a generous tip for a waiter you will never see again. Shovel your neighbor's sidewalk before they wake up. When you perform an act of kindness without any desire for reward, for recognition, or even for a thank you, you are bypassing the ego entirely. The intention is pure. The cause is clean. You are planting a seed of pure benevolence into the field of consciousness, an act that must, by law, bring a harvest of benevolence back into your experience in some form. Imagine the universe as a vast hall of mirrors. You are standing in the center. Every gesture you make, every facial expression you hold, is reflected back at you from countless angles. If you stand with clenched fists and an angry scowl, you will see nothing but an infinite army of angry, threatening figures surrounding you. The world will feel like a hostile place. If you relax your hands, open your heart, and offer a gentle smile, you will find yourself surrounded by an infinite gathering of peaceful, friendly beings. The world will feel like a safe and loving place. The mirrors have not changed. The world has not changed. You have changed. And in changing yourself, you have changed everything. This profound understanding that we are the cause and our life is the effect, that the universe is a perfect and impartial mirror of our own consciousness, places a beautiful and awesome responsibility upon us. It means that nothing is random, nothing is meaningless. Every thought, every word, every action, every choice matters. It matters more than we can possibly imagine. If our outer reality is truly a reflection of our inner choices, then the most vital, the most powerful, the most important skill we can ever hope to master is the art of choosing consciously. We stand now in the light of a profound realization. The universe is a flawless mirror, and karma is simply the name for its perfect, impersonal reflection of our own energy. This understanding dismantles the architecture of blame and victimhood, and in its place, it builds a temple of personal responsibility. If our lives are a reflection of our actions, our thoughts, and our intentions, then every single moment becomes a crossroads of creation. We now arrive at the source of all our power, the faculty that defines our sovereignty as conscious beings. We arrive at the power of conscious choice. This power is your birthright. It is the one thing that can never be taken from you. Others can take your possessions, your freedom, your physical health. But no one can ever take away your power to choose your response to what is happening. Yet, for most of us, this supreme power lies dormant, buried under a lifetime of habitual, unconscious reaction. We live our lives on autopilot. A stimulus occurs in the outside world. Driver cuts us off in traffic. A loved one speaks a sharp word. We receive an unexpected bill and an automatic reaction is triggered within us. There is no space. The stimulus and the response are fused together into a single, instantaneous event. Anger flares. Anxiety tightens its grip. Fear floods the system. In these moments, we are not free beings. We are biological machines, puppets whose strings are being pulled by external events and internal, pre-programmed conditioning. This reactive state is the source of our feeling of powerlessness. When we live on autopilot, we are at the mercy of the world. Our inner peace becomes a fragile commodity, dependent on everyone else behaving correctly and on life unfolding exactly as we wish. It is a recipe for perpetual disappointment and exhaustion. This is the great internal conflict, the deeply grooved neural pathway of instinctual reaction versus the quiet, latent potential of a conscious response. It is the difference between being a leaf blown about by the wind and being the mountain that feels the wind but remains unmoved in its core. The escape route from the prison of reactivity is found in a single, sacred space. It is a space that is infinitesimally small, yet contains all the freedom in the universe. It is the space that exists between stimulus and response. In that tiny, precious interval lies your power to choose. In that choice lies your growth, your freedom, and your ability to consciously create your life. The practice is to find that space, to inhabit it, to make it your home. Peace is not the absence of problems. A life without problems is a fantasy that will never materialize. The ocean of life will always have waves. There will be storms. There will be calm seas. There will be unpredictable currents. Peace is not found in demanding that the ocean be flat. Peace is the conscious choice made in the face of a rising wave. not to be consumed by it. It is the understanding that you cannot control the wave, but you can always choose your response to it. You can learn to surf. Your power of conscious choice is your surfboard. With it, you can ride the very waves that once threatened to drown you. This may sound profound and perhaps abstract, but the practice of finding this space is simple, concrete, and available to you in any moment. It is the practice of the one-breath bridge. The next time you feel triggered, the next time you feel that familiar rush of anger, fear, or defensiveness, your only task is to make one single commitment. Before you speak, before you type, before you act, you will take one slow, deliberate, deep breath. This is not a passive act. It is a neurological and spiritual intervention of immense power. That single breath, lasting perhaps only 3 seconds, is the bridge that carries you from the reactive, primitive part of your brain to the evolved, conscious prefrontal cortex. It interrupts the electrical storm of the emotional hijack. It brings oxygen and space into the system. It is in that breath, in that sacred pause, that you reclaim your power. You have created the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you can ask a new question. Instead of reacting with, "How dare they?" you can ask, "What is my highest choice here?" Instead of being consumed by fear, you can ask, "Which response will lead to more peace, and which will lead to more conflict?" The answer is almost always immediately obvious when you give yourself the gift of that single moment of clarity. You might choose to say nothing at all. You might choose to respond with a calm question instead of an accusation. You might choose to walk away. Whatever the choice, it is now yours. It is a conscious response, not an unconscious reaction. You are no longer the puppet. You are the one holding the strings. Imagine the freedom in this. The person who insults you no longer has the power to ruin your day, because you can choose to see their words as a reflection of their own pain, not as a truth about you. The unexpected problem at work no longer has the power to create a sleepless night, because you can choose to respond with calm, focused problem-solving instead of frantic anxiety. You are taking back the keys to your own inner kingdom. You are deciding that your inner peace is more valuable than your need to be right, more important than reacting to every provocation from the outside world. A master surfer does not fear the waves. They have a deep respect for the power of the ocean, but they have a deeper trust in their own ability to respond to it. They have practiced their balance. They have honed their timing. They have developed an intuitive feel for the water. They have learned how to choose their movements in harmony with the power of the wave, using its energy to carry them forward. This is what we are doing when we practice the one-breath bridge. We are becoming master surfers on the ocean of life. We are learning to use the energy of our challenges to propel us forward into greater wisdom and strength. As we become more adept at creating this sacred pause, as we stand more frequently in this space of conscious choice, a new, more subtle question arises. In that moment of clarity, with multiple paths before us, how do we know which choice is truly the right one? The mind, even when calm, can offer compelling arguments for different courses of action. Logic can be a useful tool, but it has its limits, especially when the situation is complex and emotionally charged. If we are not to be guided solely by reactive emotion or by cold logic, where do we turn for guidance? The answer lies in cultivating a relationship with a deeper form of intelligence, a quiet, nonverbal knowing that resides within the heart. To make the highest choice, we must learn to listen to the whisper of our intuition. We have arrived at the sacred pause, that precious space between stimulus and response where our true power is born. We have learned to step off the frantic treadmill of unconscious reaction and into the quiet sanctuary of conscious choice. But here, in this space of freedom, we are faced with a new and vital question. How do we choose? When the path forward splits, when logic pulls us in one direction and emotion in another, to what guidance do we turn? The answer does not lie in more thinking, in more analysis, in more pros and cons lists. The answer lies in learning to listen to a different kind of intelligence, a deeper wisdom that does not shout but whispers. We must now learn to listen to our intuition. Intuition is the voice of your soul. It is the direct line of communication from your higher self, the vast, eternal consciousness that is your true nature. It does not speak the language of the mind. The mind is a magnificent tool, a biological computer that operates on logic, on data from the past, on calculation and analysis. It is designed to navigate the material world, to solve problems, to keep you safe based on previous experience. Its voice is often loud, insistent, and full of chatter. It is frequently intertwined with the voice of the ego's fear, which constantly calculates risk and projects worst-case scenarios. We are trained from birth to listen to this voice, to trust in reason, and to dismiss anything that cannot be logically proven. But intuition operates from a completely different paradigm. It is a form of knowing that transcends logic. It does not present evidence or construct linear arguments. It communicates not through thought, but through feeling. It is the quiet, unexplainable hunch. It is the subtle gut feeling that a situation is right or wrong. It is the sudden flash of insight that arrives when you are not thinking about the problem at all. It is a holistic, nonverbal intelligence that speaks through the wisdom of the body. A feeling of lightness, of expansion, of peace, of resonance in your chest is the intuition's yes. A feeling of heaviness, of dread, of contraction, a knot in your stomach, is the intuition's no. The great internal conflict of guidance is this: the loud, convincing, and often fearful voice of the analytical mind versus the quiet, subtle, and unwavering whisper of the soul. We have been conditioned to trust the former and to dismiss the latter as irrational, as fanciful, or as mere emotion. We have been taught to live from the neck up. The journey of awakening is the journey of relearning how to trust this deeper, quieter source of truth. It is learning to hear the whisper beneath the roar. Think of it this way: your rational mind is an excellent map, but your intuition is your compass. The map is invaluable. It shows you the known terrain, the roads that have been built, the dangers that have been charted by those who came before you. It is wise to study the map, to use your intellect to gather all the available information about a situation. But the map can only show you what is already known. It cannot guide you through uncharted territory. It cannot show you your own unique, soul-driven path. For that, you need the compass. The compass does not care about the terrain. It does not offer reasons. It simply and infallibly points toward your true north. When faced with a significant life choice, the wisest approach is to use both. Use your mind to do the research, to make the phone calls, to create the spreadsheets, to analyze the data. Gather all the logical information you can. Lay out the map in front of you. But once that work is done, you must do something that feels counterintuitive. You must let it all go. You must quiet the mind. You must create a space of inner stillness. And then you must consult the compass. Turn your attention inward and propose each path to your heart. How does the choice to take that job feel in your body? Forget the salary and the title for a moment. Does the thought of it create a sense of expansion and excitement, or a subtle feeling of dread and contraction? How does the choice to enter into that relationship feel? Does it bring a sense of peace and rightness, or a quiet, nagging feeling that something is off? The feeling of peace is the needle of your compass settling on true north. It is the ultimate confirmation. A choice that is aligned with your soul will always, always be accompanied by a feeling of peace, even if it is also accompanied by fear. You can be afraid to take a new job and peaceful about the decision at the same time. The fear is the ego's reaction to the unknown. The peace is the soul's recognition of its own path. A choice that is out of alignment, on the other hand, may look perfect on paper, but it will be accompanied by a subtle, persistent feeling of inner dissonance. To learn to distinguish between the loud voice of fear and the quiet feeling of peace is to master the art of intuitive living. This ability to hear the whisper of intuition is not a magical gift bestowed upon a select few. It is an innate human faculty that can be cultivated and strengthened through practice. But you cannot hear a whisper in a storm. You must first create inner quiet. This is why practices like meditation, spending time in nature, and simply sitting in silence are not luxuries. They are essential for anyone who wishes to be guided from within. They are the act of turning down the volume on the chattering mind so that the whisper of the soul can be heard. A beautiful and effective practice for strengthening your connection to intuition is to engage with it before you sleep. The conscious mind acts as a filter, a gatekeeper, but when you are drifting into sleep, and in the moments just upon waking, this filter is at its weakest. Before you go to bed, pose a clear question to your intuition. Write it down. What is my next right step regarding this situation? Show me the path that is for my highest good. State the question and then release it. Do not try to solve it. As you fall asleep, hold the intention to receive guidance. Then, when you wake up in the morning, pay close attention to the very first thought or feeling that arises. Before the logical mind boots up and begins its daily routine of analysis and worry, there is often a fleeting moment of pure insight. It might be a single word, an image, a clear feeling. Trust this. Write it down before it evaporates. Consider your intuition to be like a deep, pure, underground river, flowing silently beneath the surface of your life. Your rational mind is the land on the surface. It is useful. You can build things on it. You can grow crops on it. But when you are truly thirsty for guidance, when you need the pure, life-giving water of truth, you must be willing to dig. You must be willing to go beneath the surface of analysis and pro-con lists. You must drill down through the layers of doubt and fear until you tap into that cool, clear, ever-flowing current of knowing. As you practice listening to and, most importantly, honoring this inner compass, you begin to develop a profound sense of trust. It starts as trust in your own decisions, but it blossoms into something far greater. You start to notice that your intuition, your inner true north, seems to be in perfect harmony with a larger intelligence. You begin to sense that the path your soul is pointing you toward is also the path the universe is laying before you. Trusting your inner guidance leads you to trust that there is a perfect timing for everything, a benevolent order to the unfolding of your life. You learn to let go of the need to force things, and you begin to trust in divine timing. You have planted the seeds of intention. You have watered them with gratitude. You have tended to the garden of your mind, pulling the weeds of negativity and doubt. And now, you wait. It is in this waiting that a new kind of storm can gather. Not a storm of anger or sadness, but a storm of frantic energy, a storm called impatience. It is the tightening in your chest when the thing you desire has not yet appeared. It is the restless mind that runs 1,000 simulations a day, trying to force a conclusion, trying to pry open the hands of fate. We have been taught that to want something is to pursue it relentlessly, to hammer on the doors of reality until they give way. We have been taught that waiting is a passive act, a sign of weakness, and so we push, we strive. We exhaust our energy trying to manipulate the clock of the universe, demanding that it align with our own limited schedule. This demand, this desperate need for things to happen now, does not come from a place of strength. It comes from the deepest fear of the ego. The ego lives in a world of timelines and deadlines. It believes that its survival depends on control. It cannot stand the unknown, for in the unknown, it feels it might cease to exist. So it creates an illusion of control. It makes plans. It sets expectations. It tries to predict every outcome. When reality does not conform to this meticulously crafted blueprint, the ego panicles. It interprets a delay not as a simple fact of life, but as a personal failure, as a sign that the universe has forgotten or abandoned you. It screams into the void. Why is it not here yet? What have I done wrong? When will it be my turn? This voice is loud, demanding, and utterly convincing in its panic. It is the voice that tells you to give up or to try harder, to do something, anything, other than simply be still. But there is another voice, always present, though often drowned out by the noise. It is the quiet wisdom of the soul. The soul does not operate on a linear timeline. It understands seasons. It understands rhythm. It knows that the seed does not become a flower overnight. The soul speaks of trust. It whispers that your desire has been heard, that the forces of creation have already been set in motion, that everything is unfolding in a sequence far more intelligent and benevolent than your conscious mind could ever conceive. The conflict, then, is not between you and the world. The conflict is between the frantic demands of your ego and the calm, knowing trust of your soul. Your journey is to learn how to quiet the screaming child of the ego and attune your ear to the steady, peaceful hum of your deeper self. This is the practice of trusting in divine timing. This is not a passive resignation. It is an active, powerful state of being. It is a profound declaration of faith. To trust in divine timing is to acknowledge that you are a part of a cosmic intelligence infinitely greater than yourself. It is to understand that sometimes what we perceive as a delay is in fact a form of divine protection. Perhaps you are not yet ready for the thing you are asking for. Perhaps receiving it now would overwhelm you or lead you down a path you are not meant to walk. Perhaps there is a crucial lesson you must learn in this period of waiting, a piece of inner strength you must develop that will be essential for you to handle the blessing when it arrives. Or perhaps the universe is not denying you, but preparing something even better than what you asked for, something that requires more pieces to fall into place. A no or a not yet from the universe is often a redirection, a sacred pause designed for your ultimate benefit. Consider the flower. You cannot force it to bloom by prying its petals open with your fingers. To do so would be an act of violence. You would destroy the very beauty you wish to see. The flower blooms in its own time, when the conditions are perfect, when its own internal clock signals that the moment has arrived. Your role is not to force the bloom. Your role is to be the patient gardener, to ensure the soil of your mind is rich with self-worth, to provide the water of gratitude, to offer the sunlight of your unwavering faith. And then you let go. You trust the process. You trust that the intelligence within the seed knows exactly what it is doing. You find peace not in the arrival of the flower, but in the sacred act of tending to the garden. The joy is in the process, not just the outcome. When you feel that familiar knot of impatience tightening within you, when you feel the urge to push against the current of life, bring yourself to a pause. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and repeat this simple, powerful mantra, not just with your lips, but with every cell of your being. I trust the process of life. Everything comes to me at the right time. Feel the words as a wave of calm washing over your nervous system. Feel the tension in your jaw release. Feel the frantic energy in your chest dissolve into a quiet stillness. In that moment, you are consciously choosing trust over fear. You are aligning yourself not with the frantic timeline of the ego, but with the expansive, intelligent rhythm of the universe. You are letting the river carry you, instead of trying to swim against its powerful current. This trust is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Each time you choose to trust in the waiting, you are rewriting an old program of fear and control. You are teaching your own consciousness that your peace does not depend on external events falling into place according to your schedule. Your peace is sourced from within, from your connection to the unwavering belief that you are cared for, that you are guided, and that all is well. This is not about giving up on your dreams. It is about releasing your stranglehold on how and when they must manifest. It is about doing your part with diligence and love, and then surrendering the outcome to a wisdom greater than your own. This surrender is the ultimate act of power. It is a silent signal to the universe that you are ready to receive your blessings not on your terms, but on the terms of grace. To truly trust in divine timing is to begin to see the perfection in every moment, even the moments of seeming emptiness or delay. It is to understand that the pause is as much a part of the music as the notes themselves. As you cultivate this profound trust, you will find that the desperate need for answers begins to fade, replaced by a comfortable peace with the questions. You stop fighting with reality, and in doing so, you prepare the ground for the next great revelation in your journey. The profound liberation that comes from radical acceptance. To trust in the divine rhythm of the universe is a profound act of faith in the future. But what of the present moment, especially when it arrives in a form you did not ask for, a shape that feels painful, unjust, or simply wrong? You have surrendered your control over the timeline, but now you are faced with the texture of reality itself. And it is here, in the direct encounter with what is, that we wage our most exhausting and futile war, the war of resistance. Resistance is the silent, grinding friction between your expectations and your reality. It is a constant, low-grade hum of rejection aimed at the present moment. It is the voice in your head that whispers or screams a single toxic phrase in 1,000 different variations. This should not be. This should not be happening. The relationship should not have ended. This illness should not have come. I should not be feeling this way. I should be stronger, further along, more successful. Each of these thoughts is an act of war against what is. It is an argument with a reality that is already won, simply by being real. This resistance is the primary source of human suffering. It is important to understand this with absolute clarity. The pain of a situation is one thing. The suffering we build on top of that pain through resistance is another thing entirely, and it is almost always the heavier burden. The initial event is the arrow that strikes you. The resistance, the story of how unfair it is, the endless rumination, is the second arrow that you shoot into yourself, again and again. We resist because we confuse acceptance with endorsement. We believe that to accept a situation is to approve of it, to be weak, to give up, to let the world walk all over us. This is the great misunderstanding that keeps us locked in struggle. Acceptance is not agreement. Acceptance is not resignation. Acceptance is simply the courageous and clear-sighted act of seeing what is, without the filter of your preference. It is the dropping of the internal argument. It is looking at the cards you have been dealt in this moment and saying, "All right, these are the cards." It does not mean you like the hand. It does not mean you have no intention of playing it to the best of your ability. It simply means you have stopped wasting precious energy wishing for a different hand. Imagine you are caught in a sudden downpour. The rain is cold, and you are far from shelter. Resistance is standing in the middle of the street, shaking your fist at the sky, screaming that it should be sunny. You can spend hours in this state, growing colder, wetter, and more miserable, filled with a righteous anger that accomplishes nothing. The sky does not care for your opinion. The rain will not stop because you deem it unjust. Your resistance does not change the weather. It only deepens your own misery. This is how most of us live our lives, shaking our fists at the inevitable rains of existence, the disappointments, the losses, the challenges. Acceptance, in this metaphor, is the moment you stop shouting at the clouds. It is the quiet, internal shift where you finally acknowledge the simple, undeniable truth. It is raining. In that moment of acknowledgement, the fight is over. You have not endorsed the rain. You have not declared it to be good. You have simply seen it for what it is. And from this place of clear seeing, a new possibility emerges. You are no longer a victim of the weather. You are a conscious being in a rainstorm. And so, you can now ask a useful question: what is the most intelligent thing to do now that it is raining? Perhaps you pull your jacket tighter. Perhaps you look for an awning to stand under. Perhaps you open the umbrella that you were carrying all along, but had forgotten in your rage. The rain has not changed, but your entire experience of it has been transformed. You have moved from pointless suffering to empowered action. This is the liberation of acceptance. It is the key that unlocks the cage of your own mental prison. When you are resisting reality, you are chained to it, locked in an exhausting battle. All of your life force, all of your creative energy, is being consumed by this internal war. The moment you accept, the chains fall away. That vast ocean of energy that was being wasted on fighting what is suddenly returned to you. This is a monumental event. It is the return of your power. And now, with this reclaimed energy, you are free to act. You can create change not from a place of desperate resistance, but from a place of calm, clear-eyed power. You cannot effectively change a situation that you have not first accepted. Acceptance is the firm ground upon which the lever of change can be placed. Begin this practice in the small moments of life. You are stuck in traffic. The initial reaction is resistance. The tightening grip on the steering wheel, the muttered curses, the rising frustration. This changes nothing about the traffic. It only poisons your inner state. Instead, try acceptance. Take a breath, feel the seat beneath you, and say to yourself, right now, it is what it is. I am in traffic. This is not a sigh of defeat. It is a breath of clarity. It is the sound of your feet landing firmly on the ground of reality. Once you have accepted it, you are free. You can listen to your audiobook. You can practice mindful breathing. You can simply observe the world around you. You have taken a moment of potential suffering and turned it into a moment of peace. Practice this with every small annoyance, every minor deviation from your plan. See each one as an opportunity to build the muscle of acceptance, because when the larger storms of life arrive, and they will, you will have this strength to draw upon. You will have trained yourself to not immediately go to war with reality. You will know how to find that point of stillness, that moment of clear seeing that allows you to open your umbrella and walk with grace through the storm. Acceptance is saying yes to this moment, not because this moment is always pleasant, but because this moment is all there is. It is life itself, presenting itself to you. To fight it is to fight life. To accept it is to begin to dance with life. This unconditional yes is a sacred act. It dissolves the ego, which thrives on judgment and resistance. It aligns you with the flow of the universe, which never argues with what is. The universe simply is. When you can mirror that quality, when you can be with reality as it is, you discover a peace that is not dependent on circumstances. You find a stability within that is unshakable. By fully accepting the landscape of the outer world, no matter how turbulent or challenging, you create the necessary condition to discover an entirely different landscape within. When you stop fighting the storm, you give yourself the chance to notice that there has always been a place of perfect calm at your very center. You become ready to find the eye of the storm. You have learned to accept the rain, to stand on the firm ground of reality without arguing with what is. This acceptance is the gateway. But once you step through it, where do you find yourself? You find yourself in the midst of life's inevitable weather, the swirling winds and unpredictable currents of existence. For centuries, we have been misguided in our search for peace. We have believed that peace is a destination where the storm ceases to exist. We have tried to build walls high enough to keep out the wind, to negotiate with the clouds to stop the rain, to silence the thunder of the world. This is an impossible and exhausting quest. The storm is not the problem. The problem is that we have forgotten that we are not the storm. The true journey is not to calm the world around you, but to find the calm within you. It is the discovery of a sacred, silent center that exists within you right now, a place untouched by the chaos of your life. This is the eye of the storm. Think of a hurricane as it rages across the ocean. At its edges, the winds are destructive, chaotic, and terrifying. But at its very center, there is a point of eerie and profound calm. The sky is clear, the air is still. This eye is not separate from the hurricane. It is an integral part of it. It is the silent, organizing principle around which the chaos spins. Your true self, your core consciousness, is this I. Your thoughts, your emotions, the dramas of your daily life, these are the storm walls. We spend our lives getting tossed around in these walls because we identify with them. We believe the wind is us, the rain is us, the chaos is us. This is the fundamental error of a mind lost in the world. When a stressful thought appears, you say, I am stressed. When a wave of sadness washes over you, you say, I am sad. When your life feels chaotic, you say, my life is a mess. In that moment of identification, you have willingly left the calm center and thrown yourself into the howling wind. You have become a leaf tossed about by forces you cannot control. The spiritual awakening, the path to unshakable peace, is the simple yet profound realization. You are not the storm. You are the stillness that witnesses it. You are the vast, open sky that allows the clouds and the weather of life to pass through. The sky does not cling to the storm clouds, nor does it try to push them away. It does not identify with them. It remains what it is, vast, silent, and fundamentally peaceful, regardless of the weather. To find this inner sky, this eye of the storm, you do not need to add anything to yourself. It is not something you achieve or earn. It is something you return to. It is a process of subtraction, of letting go of your identification with the noise, and the most direct tool for this return is always with you. It is the anchor of your own breath. The mind can travel into the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future, but the breath can only exist in this exact moment. The breath is always and only now. When you feel the winds of chaos begin to rise, when you feel yourself being pulled into the drama of a situation, this is the practice. Anchor yourself to the breath. Stop everything else, and for just a moment, bring your entire attention to the simple, physical sensation of your body breathing. You do not need to change it or control it. Simply observe it. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils. Follow its path down into your lungs. Notice the gentle rise of your chest and belly. Feel the brief, still pause at the peak of the inhalation. Then, witness the surrender of the exhalation as the warm air leaves your body, taking with it a measure of your tension. Do this for 3 breaths, for 10 breaths. In these moments, you have performed a miracle. You have consciously unhooked your awareness from the churning vortex of thought and gently placed it upon the unmoving anchor of the present moment. You have come home to the eye of the storm. Consider the master ballet dancer. She can spin on a single point, a whirlwind of graceful motion, without becoming disoriented or dizzy. How? Because her technique requires her to fix her gaze on a single, unmoving spot in the distance. The world may blur into a swirl of color and light around her, but her focus, her stability, comes from her connection to that one point of stillness. Your awareness is your gaze. The events of your life are the rapid spin. If your gaze flits from one problem to another, from one fear to the next, you will become dizzy, disoriented, and fall. But if you train your gaze, your awareness, to constantly return to a single, unmoving point, the stillness of your own inner presence, the anchor of your breath, you can spin through the most chaotic circumstances with balance and grace. This inner stillness is your birthright. It is the silent presence that was there before your first thought and will be there after your last. It is the canvas upon which the painting of your life appears. We have become so fixated on the painting's colors, its drama, its imperfections, that we have forgotten we are the canvas itself. The canvas is never harmed by even the most violent or tragic painting. Its nature remains untouched. To find the eye of the storm is to shift your identity from being a character in the painting to being the canvas itself. When you are in this space, your relationship with problems changes. You no longer see them as absolute threats, but as energetic patterns passing through your field of awareness. From the eye of the storm, you can look out at the raging winds with a calm clarity. You can see the situation for what it is, without the distortion of your own fear. And from this place of profound calm, you can make the wisest decisions. Your actions are no longer panicked reactions, but deliberate, inspired responses that arise from a place of deep intelligence. You don't shout back at the wind. You listen, you observe, and then you act with precision and power. This is the ultimate source of your peace. It does not mean your life will be free of storms. It means that you will no longer be afraid of them. You will have discovered a sanctuary within that no external event can ever touch. You will know, with a certainty that transcends belief, that you are the unbreakable stillness at the center of all movement. And as you learn to live from this center, you begin to notice something remarkable. Your peace is not a passive, private state. It is an active force. Your stillness begins to influence the storm itself. The calm in your heart becomes a silent offering to the world, and you realize that your inner state is the greatest gift you could ever give. You have found the eye of the storm. You have touched the profound stillness that lies at your core, a sanctuary untouched by the chaos of the world. As you begin to inhabit this newfound peace, a subtle and noble-sounding question may arise from the depths of your conscience. It is the voice of the altruistic ego, and it asks, how can you justify this inner peace? How can you sit in stillness when the world is filled with so much suffering, so much injustice, so much noise? Is this not the ultimate act of selfishness? This question has kept many sincere seekers from their own liberation. They feel a sense of guilt for their own peace, as if their tranquility is somehow stolen from the world's share of well-being. But this line of thinking, though it appears compassionate, is built upon a fundamental misunderstanding of both peace and service. You cannot give what you do not have. This is one of the most simple and inviolable laws of energy. An anxious and agitated person cannot radiate calm. A person filled with inner conflict cannot bring harmony to a situation. A mind that is depleted and exhausted cannot offer genuine strength or wisdom to another. We have been conditioned to believe that service is about frantic action, about rushing to fix, to solve, to save. And so, many run on empty, trying to pour water for others from a cup that is utterly dry. Their efforts, though well-intentioned, often add more chaotic energy to the very situations they are trying to heal. Their advice is tinged with impatience. Their help comes with unspoken attachments. Their presence feels heavy because they are not acting from a place of fullness, but from a place of deep, unacknowledged need. They are trying to fix the world outside to avoid the disquiet within. The truth is precisely the opposite of what this spiritual guilt would have you believe. The single most powerful, radical, and transformative action you can take for the good of the world is to dedicate yourself to your own inner healing and find your own unshakable peace. Your state of being is not a private affair. It is a constant, silent broadcast. Every thought, every emotion, every subtle, energetic state within you creates a resonance, a frequency that ripples out from you and touches everyone and everything in your environment. This is not a mystical theory, it is a palpable reality. You have felt it. You have walked into a room where someone is silently angry, and the air itself feels thick and oppressive. And you have been in the presence of someone who is deeply at peace, and in their company, your own breathing slows, your shoulders relax, and your mind grows quiet, without a single word being exchanged. This is the ripple effect of consciousness. Your peace is your gift to the world. When you are centered in the eye of the storm, you become a stabilizing force. Your calm nervous system sends a non-verbal signal to the agitated nervous systems around you, inviting them to co-regulate, to find their own calm. When you can listen to another person's pain without being consumed by it, without needing to fix it, you offer them a sacred space in which they can find their own answers. You are no longer adding to the world's collective anxiety. Instead, you are actively subtracting from it, simply by maintaining your own inner balance. Your peace is a quiet form of activism, a silent revolution against the culture of stress and fear. Imagine a great lighthouse standing on a rugged coastline. Its purpose is to guide ships through treacherous waters during the darkest storms. Now, imagine the lighthouse keeper sees a single ship struggling in the waves. Abandoning his post, he jumps into a small rowboat and furiously paddles out to save that one vessel. In his heroic effort, the great light of the tower goes out. Now, 100 other ships, which were relying on that steady beam to navigate, are lost and in peril. This is the folly of the helper who acts from a place of ego and depletion. They abandon their primary responsibility in a frantic attempt to manage the world's chaos directly. The true and highest purpose of the lighthouse is not to rescue individual ships. Its purpose is to tend to its own light. Its sole duty is to stand firm, to remain anchored to its foundation, and to shine its beam as brightly and as steadily as possible, without judgment or preference. It does not worry about the ships that are too far away to see it. It does not curse the ships that choose to ignore its warning. It simply holds its post and shines. By fulfilling this one simple function, it provides the crucial point of reference, the unwavering beacon of hope and stability that allows countless mariners to find their own way safely to shore. You are that lighthouse. Your primary responsibility is not to run around the coastline of life, trying to fix everyone's journey. Your primary responsibility is to your own inner light. It is to root yourself in your foundation of stillness, to clear away the grime of past conditioning and fear from the lens of your perception, and to allow the natural peace of your being to shine as brightly as possible. This is not selfish. This is the greatest service you can offer. By being a beacon of peace, you empower others to navigate their own storms. You give them a reference point of what is possible, reminding them of the calm that also exists within them. You can begin this practice today in your very next interaction. When you speak with someone, whether it is a loved one, a coworker, or a stranger, set a silent intention. Let your goal be not to win the argument, not to prove your point, not even to offer the perfect advice. Let your primary intention be simply to offer that person the gift of your peaceful presence. Put down your phone, turn away from your screen, and listen. Listen not just with your ears, but with your entire field of awareness. Listen to the words they are saying, and listen to the silence between the words. Listen to the emotion behind their story. Do not try to solve their problem. Simply be there, a calm, open, accepting space. In that space, they may find the clarity they need. In your non-anxious presence, they may find the courage to face their own feelings. You have given them something far more valuable than advice. You have given them a moment of true sanctuary. This is how the world is healed. Not through grand, dramatic gestures, but through an accumulation of small moments of authentic, peaceful connection. It is healed one conscious breath, one calm interaction, one centered soul at a time. The peace you cultivate in your own heart is not yours to hoard. It naturally radiates. It becomes the medicine you offer to your family, your community, and the world, often without you even realizing it. And as you stand firm in your role as the lighthouse, a final, beautiful transformation begins. You start to notice that the light you are shining and the ocean you are shining upon are not truly separate. The peace within you and the life that unfolds around you begin to merge into a single, unified dance. The sense of a separate self, a lonely keeper tending a light, begins to dissolve, and you prepare to take the final step, the journey home, into the ocean of being itself. You have walked a long road inward. The journey began with the first, faint echo of silence calling to you from beneath the noise of your life. You dared to face that silence and found the shadows of your past waiting for you. You learned to dialogue with the ego, not as an enemy, but as a frightened child. You discovered the sanctuary of the present moment, the only place where life truly exists. You learned to listen to the language of your own discomfort, to let go of your desperate grip on outcomes, and to embrace the loving strength of true discipline. You planted seeds of intention in the fertile soil of your mind, watering them with gratitude. You found the gift hidden in adversity and the sacred power of your own boundaries. You began to understand yourself as a field of energy, a frequency broadcast into the cosmos. You saw karma not as a judge, but as a perfect mirror. You reclaimed the power of conscious choice and began to trust the whisper of your intuition, accepting the perfection of divine timing. You stopped fighting the rain. You found the unmoving eye at the center of your personal storm, and in doing so, you became a lighthouse, your peace a silent gift to the world. After all this, what is left? After all the striving, the learning, the letting go, what is the final destination? It is here that we face the most subtle and final hurdle. It is the temptation to turn this entire journey into the ego's ultimate accomplishment. The ego, even the spiritual ego, wishes to remain separate. It wants to be the one who is peaceful, the one who is enlightened. It desires to stand on the mountaintop of its achievement and look down upon the path it has conquered. But the final step of the journey is not to stand on the mountaintop. It is to realize that you are the mountain. The final step is not to achieve a perfect state. It is to dissolve into the perfection that already is. This is the homecoming. This is the merging with the flow. All along, you have been learning to quiet your own turbulence so you could feel the subtle, powerful current of life itself. At first, it felt like something separate from you, a river that you were learning to navigate. But now, the distinction begins to blur. The final conflict is the last, desperate attempt of the ego to maintain the illusion of the boatman. It is the fear that if you let go of the oars completely, if you surrender your identity as the navigator of your life, you will be lost, you will drown, you will cease to be. But the core message, the truth that has been waiting for you at the end of this path, is this: the universe balances when you choose peace. Because when you are truly at peace, you are no longer a separate entity fighting against the universe. You have become a seamless expression of it. You are no longer trying to steer the river. You realize, with a sudden, breathtaking clarity, that you are the river. Your personal peace is the universe experiencing its own peace through the vessel of your consciousness. The balance is not something the universe does for you as a reward. The balance is what happens naturally when you stop creating imbalance through your resistance. The flow is not something you join. It is what you are, and always have been, beneath the illusion of a separate self. Consider the final metaphor of this journey: a single drop of water, born in a cloud, having journeyed through the vast blue sky. It holds within it the memory of its entire existence, the sunlight it has known, the winds it has ridden. As it falls toward the great ocean below, it sees a boundless expanse of water and feels an instinctual terror. This is the fear of annihilation. To touch that surface is to lose its identity, to no longer be a distinct, individual drop. It is the ultimate letting go. It clings to its form, to its story, for as long as it can. But the moment of merging is inevitable. The drop touches the surface. For an infinitesimal instant there is a boundary, and then it is gone. But has it been destroyed, or has it been liberated? In that moment of surrender, the consciousness that was confined to the tiny, fragile form of a single drop does not end. It expands. It becomes the entire ocean. It now feels the pull of the moon in its tides. It knows the ancient wisdom of the abyssal depths. It feels the warmth of the sun on 1,000,000 square miles of its surface. It holds every shore, every island, every other drop within its being. It has not lost itself. It has come home to its true self. It has remembered its boundless nature. This is the state that awaits you beyond the final surrender of the ego. It is not a loss of you. It is the discovery of the real you. The personality, the memories, the preferences they are, like the unique journey of that single drop. They are not erased, but they are no longer the totality of who you are. They are a beautiful, intricate pattern that is now part of the infinite ocean of being. What is the practical expression of this state? It is a life of profound and simple naturalness. You cease to operate from a place of complex, egoic calculation. You begin to trust the effortless wisdom of the organism. You eat when you are hungry. You sleep when you are tired. You act not because you have debated the pros and cons, but because a clear, intuitive impulse arises from the stillness within you. It is a life of choiceless awareness, where the right action reveals itself and is performed without inner conflict or struggle. It is the grace of the cat stretching in the sun, the perfection of the tree reaching for the light. There is no second guessing, no inner committee meeting. There is only the pure, unhindered flow of life expressing itself through your form. You no longer look to the world for validation because you feel your intrinsic connection to everything. You no longer fear the future because you are living in the timeless reality of the now. You no longer carry the heavy burden of your personal story because you have realized you are the entire library of existence. The war is over, not because you won, but because you realized there was never an enemy. There was only the whole, pretending for a little while to be a separate part. And now, the game is over, and you are awake. You are home. At the beginning of our journey together, we stood at the edge of a vast ocean. We observed the surface, where the storms of life raged, the crashing waves of career demands, relational turmoil, and the relentless pressure of expectation. And we spoke of a great depth, a place far below the turbulence, where an absolute and unshakable stillness resides. Then, you were perhaps only an observer, looking out at the possibility of that peace. But now, you are no longer standing on the shore. You have learned the sacred art of the dive. You have become an aquanaut of your own inner space. You now know that the goal was never to permanently escape the surface. Life, with all of its magnificent and chaotic weather, will continue. The storms will gather, and they will pass. But your relationship to them has been forever changed. You understand that your true power lies not in controlling the wind or the waves, but in your ability to descend, at any moment, into the profound sanctuary of your own being. You have learned to breathe in the deep. From this place of silent, immense power, you can look up at the turmoil on the surface with a divine calm, choosing how to respond rather than being forced to react. You do not run from the storm. You meet it, but you meet it from the unshakable foundation of your own depth. This is not a farewell. The final words of this recording are merely the first words of your new conscious practice. The journey does not end here. It truly begins, infused with the clarity and strength you have reclaimed. Every breath is now an opportunity to anchor yourself in the present. Every challenge is an invitation to dive deeper. Every moment is a chance to choose the frequency of peace over the frequency of fear. The power that you have unlocked was never in my words. It has always been within your own awareness, waiting patiently for you to turn your gaze inward. Do not be discouraged if the old habits of the mind return. The storms will try to convince you that they are all that is real. Simply remember the path inward. Remember the feeling of the stillness. Your practice is not to be perfect, but simply to remember again and again to come home. The world outside will cease its shouting when you begin to truly listen to the whisper from within. Your peace is not a passive retreat. It is a declaration of your true nature, a silent frequency broadcast into the heart of creation. And the universe, which is born of stillness, always recognizes its own sound. It always answers the call home.